and one.
Insync.
Yeah, boy.
Welcome to the Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance. It's stop number 2 of the 2024 season, the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro. Oh, Canada, we are in my backyard. Kicking Horse has become a staple on the tour, a favorite of fans and riders alike, known as the Champagne Powder Capital of Canada. Welcome to Kicking Horse Golden BC. We are fired up to kick this thing off. Welcome. We are here live, Freeride World Tour. My name is Derek Foos, and I'm joined by a very special guest today, Tom Pfeiffer, Freeride World Tour rider, and now joining me in the booth. And before you go crazy in the comments on Instagram, Anna couldn't come because she had to work. So we got Tom here. Tom, welcome to the booth.
Thank you very much for having me. It's very good to sit on this side of it. It'll be interesting today. I'm stoked to be here and watch some great riding from all the friends. You know, lots of ex-competitors I used to ride with. I've been on this face quite a few times throughout the qualifiers and the World Tour, so I'm excited to see what goes down from this end.
Yeah, the riders are fired up. The conditions definitely a little tricky out there, but we know that they are some of the most talented human beings on the planet on skis and snowboards. Just a quick look at the top. We're going to be on the T1 South face. Riders up there already checking in. Tom, a little bit of a look into the mindset of these moments when, you know, we're still an hour away for some riders. Some of them it's coming up quick. What's going through their heads up there?
You know, right now it's just if you're going to be dropping a bit deeper in the pack, you're going to be watching and seeing what these first riders are going to be doing and how that snow is actually going to be getting ridden. They do have the forerunners to go through and get some feedback to see, but there's, you know, nothing like watching some other competitors put some runs down on the face. They're just trying to get prepared. Right now it is pretty dang cold here in Kicking Horse, so I'd imagine some of them are just going to keep skiing some laps, staying warm, and then just popping by to check out the comp until they're ready to go and they have to hike up. But keep it settled. So
yeah, keeping the legs warm and keeping the minds on point. It's all got to come together today. Valuable series points on the line. We'll take a quick look at what got us here and how it all works this year on the Freeride World Tour.
Perfect.
All right, so the format this year, we lost a couple stages in the Pyrenees. So in the preliminary stage of the Freeride World Tour, we've got the Verbier Pro, the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro, and then we head to Georgia. That's all 53 riders. Then we cut half of them. 50% of them will be off to the Challenger Series, and the other 50% will be heading to Fieberbrunn in Austria with a 2-run format. Best score of your 2-run counts. And then to the big mama, the Yeti Extreme Verbier. That is Freeride World Tour Finals. 27 athletes, skiing and snowboarding, men and women, taken to the biggest stage on the freeride planet, the Bec des Roses. But right now, they still have to complete this. We are in Canada, our backyard, Tom. As you said, you've competed on this T1 South face before. There's definitely a lot of options, and there was some confusion, it felt like, in Face Check of people wondering what they were going to do and how they were going to approach this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, right now, just even throughout North America and BC, it's a bit lower of a snow year. So the face has a bit more terrain options because stuff isn't as filled in. There's some more trees at the bottom. Some of the cliff bands are quite a bit bigger. So the venue is actually looking really different from previous years. So we are going to see some newer lines that haven't been skied and some old lines that just won't be able to be skied. And that's just the nature of freeride. So I'm super excited to see how creative the riders are going to get today.
All right, well, let's dig into it with our face preview of T1 South here at Kicking Horse.
Forty 40 degrees steepness the whole way, and it is southeast facing, so it gets some beautiful sun but not sun-baked. We're going to be running a 2-start competition in classic style here, just so riders can access that cliff band off the top that you saw and just open up some more lines, and that keeps, you know, more creativity, more options for all the riders, and they don't just get pigeonholed into one line. Conditions today, there is some fresh snow on the venue, but unfortunately there's a pretty tough crust underneath. Again, that is just the nature of being in the mountains, so the riders are going to have to choose lines which they can handle that crust underneath. And so we'll really see the riders who are going to choose smart lines within their ability to land. And that's going to weed out that like maturity that you see of these riders that are going to be able to push through with some consistency into the finals. So.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, you know, rule number one in free ride is ride to the conditions. And you know, hopefully we're going to see all the riders step to that. They definitely have a deep skill set and a huge bag of tricks that they can apply on this. And for some of the riders, you know, we've been chatting a little bit, the Kiwis, the Scandinavians, and those that came up through the IFSA qualifier series are pretty comfortable skiing on bulletproof conditions. Now, this isn't bulletproof. We do have a skiff of powder on top, so I think we may see those riders from those nations kind of rising to the occasion.
Absolutely, and I'm going to keep my eyes on Jackson Bathgate and Christopher Trudell, the two riders that, you know, they know this type of snow so well. And I had a chat with Jackson earlier, a local from Canada, and he was saying we've ridden this face in these conditions, so he's seeming pretty confident, and I'm excited to see.
All right, well, here's a big picture look at the T1 South Face here at Kicking Horse, the Super Bowl as it is known. The weather today, a slightly chilly, even for Canadian standards, minus 20 Celsius, but we've got perfect blue sky out there. The visibility is unreal. There's no clouds. There's no wind. Oh, it's showing minus 15, so it's warmed up a bit. Not down where we're sitting. We're down in the shade at the base of the face. 5 kilometers an hour wind, so hardly anything. A little bit of fresh snow on top. As you said, we have had a warming trend in BC previous to the what we're sitting on now. So we had some warming, then we had some cooling. The snow got hard. Luckily, it snowed on top. Supportive crust. The crust underneath, the riders aren't breaking through that, which is great because a breakable crust definitely alters things. So many line options on here, so many different directions you can go, so many ways you can take it. We were chatting a little bit earlier about the long and low might be better than the big sends to flat.
Yeah, so looking at the face from previous years, just with the snow levels, everything used to set up from the riders right to the left. You saw Craig Murray, Ross Tester, some of these guys with a great bag of tricks, being able to work the venue in that capacity. And we might see some of that today with some riders like Finn, Maxime Chabloz, Max Palm, Marcus Gogan, guys with a great trick bag. And so, you know, a couple other lines that aren't in are some bigger cliffs off to the left that we saw. So we are going to have to see how they handle that, especially with that crust.
Yeah, riding to the conditions and riding also to the judges' criteria. The judges have their 5 criteria that these riders are trying to fit into, and we put together a nice little package, and you can have a look into exactly what goes into the Freeride World Tour judging.
Hi, my name is Bertie Denevo. I'm one of the Freeride World Tour judges. We score riders from 0 to 100. When the rider leaves the gate, he has a score of 50, and then the score goes up or down depending on what we see. There are 5 judging criterion. The number 1 criterion is the choice of line. We'll judge whether the line was difficult or not and whether the athlete did the best out of his line choice. Then there's air and style. How big is the jump? How many are there? Were the tricks in the air? Was the rider in control in the air? How were the landings? The landings are part of the jump. Then there's fluidity. We judges are here to decide whether the athlete was really fast or kind of slow compared to how exposed or how difficult it is to ski. Then there's control. Here we'll judge whether the rider was in control at all times. Then there's technique. For pros, we don't really judge their technique, but we might take off some points if they side slip in a place where another rider was taking turns. The score, like a temperature, will go up and down so that we have a score in our heads when the rider crosses the finish line.
All right, so that is exactly what they're looking for, and now we are seeing the judges in action. We've got Laurent Lolobes, the commissioner of the Freeride World Tour, alongside Bertie Denevo. Those two sharing the commissioner's job this year, and both of them have been doing this since the Freeride World Tour's inception as well. We've got Michelle Manning out of Utah and Laurent Gauthier, Larry, coming from Whistler, BC. All of these judges have such an incredible wealth of knowledge. Tom, you've been judged by them many times over the years. A difficult job they've got.
It is, and you know what? 50 of the best riders in the world are putting down so many great runs, and it does come down to the details and all the little things that you see. So they definitely have their work cut out for them today on this action-packed venue. It's going to be short and quick, and they're going to have to be on it, but we'll see.
All right, well, we're lined up for Kicking Horse, but of course we have already got one event in the bag here on the Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance in 2024. Let's take a quick rewind and see what went down at the Verbier Pro.
Which has, already in the air, half a second into his run.
I came this year with a wild card, and luckily I did first on the first event, so now it's a bit less stress for the next.
Pretty stacked field of snowboard women, from experienced veterans to a few rookies.
With the winning on Verbier gives me for sure a good start of the season, but for sure it's just a start, so just gonna continue doing what I like to do and hopefully goes well as well.
We've got smiles and tears on our Freeride World Tour podium. 3, 2, and it looks like she wants to take a chunk out of this big buttress here. Going huge and managing to hold that one.
My mindset was like, there is a huge level this year for sure, and all the girls are super riders, so I wanted really to go big.
She is flying out there and lining up another huge air. 4-point landing, looking super strong coming out of there. Taking that one pretty deep.
Yeah, I had a good start into the season with the first win, but I think in this sport you have to compete in every race the same way and always be focused.
What an unbelievable show we had in Verbier, and we have it backed up right here at Kicking Horse. Incredible. We've got Hitzig, Nuria, De La Rue, and Zuzana Vitek all sitting pretty at the top. And right now, the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro will be right back after this short break. Welcome back to the Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance. We are at the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro. I'm Derek Foose. I'm joined here with Tom Pfeiffer, and we are ready for snowboard women. The action is about to kick off here. Just a few short minutes to go before the snowboard women drop in on T1 South here at Kicking Horse. A sparkly sunny day, chilly down in the shade, but it's actually a whole lot warmer at the start where the riders are hanging out, so they're feeling pretty good and they are fired up.
Absolutely, and we'll see what the sun is doing. You know, it is sitting in the sun. Starting is going to be Nuria Kassim coming in first in Verbier, the current leader, and then starting off today is going to be Marissa Krozak, who's just underneath the cut. So she's got a lot of pressure on her.
Yeah, so Nuria sitting first right now in the overall rankings with Ana Martinez, the rookie, just behind her. And then we've got a couple riders that are down below looking up that had some crashes and some serious issues at Verbier. So they're going to be looking to put a stamp on today and get themselves up on the good side of that cut line. Now we'll have a look at what we're going to be doing today exactly. You see Cody Bramwell up there getting himself ready. These riders just kind of going through it. Everybody's got their whole mental preparation game. It's really important to have the mental side as on point as the physical side, and this is what we're looking at today.
Yeah, we have Marissa Krozak, like I said, opening it up for the snowboard women. And as I mentioned, she's just underneath the cut, and followed behind her is Tiffany Periton, and she's just above the cut. So a lot of pressure on these two moving into the second comp, and the margins are so thin this season with 2 competitions being canceled. So they're all going to have to bring their A game. The whole category is super consistent with their riding from Verbier. It was great to see. So they're all going to have their work cut out for them. Even Nuria, she came 4th in 2022 here with a bummed ankle, so she's going to be looking to hold on to that lead. And I'm just super excited to see what these women come up with.
Oh yeah, snowboard women absolutely firing. Here's what you thought, the Peak Performance Fun Bet fan favorites. These percentages are how many of you think these riders are going to be on the podium. So Ana Martinez got 64% of you voting for her. Tiffany Periton, the former Freeride World Tour champ, 63%. And Estelle Rizzolio completing the Peak Performance fan favorite French sweep with 56% of you thinking Estelle is going to drop herself into a podium slot here. So an all French fan favorites out there in the Peak Performance Fun Bet. It's not too, might actually be too late for this event if you haven't locked your votes in, but definitely a great way to get involved. It's essentially fantasy free ride. It's a good time. Pick your favorites, bet on them. Definitely put money on it with your friends, or at least bet beers. As we go up to the top, you can see the riders all getting themselves fired up. There's the young rookie who's sitting second overall. Pretty exciting for Ana Martinez joining the Freeride World Tour, and all of a sudden she's sitting on top of the leaderboard in the overalls after one event.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, a big picture look at the face. We'll see where these riders are going to get drawn to in the category. Especially on a snowboard, this crust can be quite challenging underneath. It's different for skiers and snowboarders. It's just because it's the same conditions doesn't mean it's easier for one or the other, but we'll see how they handle themselves.
Yeah, I think the conditions as they are currently are going to shine a magnifying glass on your technique. If your technique is not on point, you're going to get bucked and tossed around all over the place. Those riders who have a solid edge-to-edge technique are going to shine on this face. The judges are going to notice it. We're going to see it. You're going to see it at home on your TV. So definitely the riders that have put in the work honing that snowboard technique are going to shine today, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. A good look at the start there, overlooking Golden, BC here in beautiful British Columbia. We're looking at start 2. The riders did have to get harnessed in to go up there over the knife ridge. And this is going to be a great drone shot looking over the venue. This is what the riders see and they inspect from. So you're going to see all the lips, the angles they might have. Lots of creative options here today. And as we get underway, I think the riders who are going to get some of this fresh snow will have it is going to make a big difference as we move throughout the day.
Yeah, it's cool for the riders because both of those start gates in a normal time of the season, or especially start 2, is not actually open to the public to ride. So the riders getting a little bit of a treat. And we are up to the top. We're kicking things off here with Marissa Krozak riding out of Bend, Oregon. She's been shredding with the friends back at Mount Bachelor in the break between the events. Marissa coming from that film background, Jones rider, and she is fired up. Marissa Krozak, our first rider, is on the face.
Working her way out of start 2 down that top ridge. We're going to see where she's going to choose to drop in, coming down here, enjoying that powder off the top. A nice air right off the top, a good nub, getting that line score built in already, and another grab and air, working things beautifully down the run.
Yeah, a bit of a learning curve for Marissa in the first event. She rode great, but just wasn't a super technical line. So now we're seeing her actually learn the ropes in freeride, stacking those features up at the top of the face. That gets his judges' attention right away.
Absolutely, and as they work their way down here, there's so many trees, so there's not a lot of landmarks. They're really going to have to be dialed in, and she's going to have to know exactly where she's going here to find the air and the line.
Yeah, maybe
very
too
tricky.
many landmarks.
Yeah, absolutely. That can be a huge challenge if there's too many landmarks and trees. So she's working her way down this tree section in the bottom, working that spine. Beautiful turn.
And right off the bottom section now, you can see Marissa is drawn to the powder. There's a couple sections where the slough has run down some of those gullies. And now Marissa coming speeding into this lower wind lip, getting herself off. And this section, we heard from the forerunners, it's quite wind affected. So you could see Marissa's board kind of moving around, but not affecting her body position at all. Clean run top to bottom for the first rider.
And that's what you want to see. You want to see the first rider get down. Beautiful run by Marissa, keeping it on her feet, keeping it in control. I didn't see any errors or any inconsistencies there, so we're going to see what the judges are going to think of that, but beautiful to watch. Look at that pow off the top of the ridge, and then awesome nub to find, and just working that energy.
Yeah, so the bar's coming up a little down in fluidity, maybe because she moved across the venue. The video judges' scores are not actually scoring scores, so that's just to give us a little something to chat about. And Marissa's so solid on that heel side edge, which was one of the areas I was wondering how the riders were going to fare when they got on the heel side, if they got bounced around. That was kind of a clinic in good snowboard technique right there.
Yeah, and as you see her line there, she has that cut down kind of through the middle of the venue. And so when you're going to do that, you want to keep everything moving at a higher speed and keep that energy up. Waiting for the judges' score here and see what they're going to get dialed in to open off. Dropping in first is really challenging because they're setting the bar for the rest of the category. So the judges have a very difficult job of where to gauge everything. You know, they want to leave room for other riders, and if there is going to be some bigger lines or some crashes.
All right, here we go. The score coming in for Marissa Krawczak, a 64.67. She's going to make her way over to the Dynastar hot seat and anxiously wait to see what the other riders are going to have in response to that run. A solid first run for Marissa Krawczak, the rider out of Bend, Oregon. She's stoked. The relief these riders feel when they're in the finish, it's just such a huge weight off your shoulders.
Oh, the rush that you have in the start gate through your run, and then once you pass through that finish crowd, it comes all off your shoulders, and it's just the most intense feeling.
All right, well, we go back up to the top. You can see the Purcells and Rockies in the background. The glorious backdrop here at Kicking Horse. Absolutely spectacular as we have our next rider in the gate. This is none other than former freeride world champion Tiffany Pertin, another French rider in the snowboard women's field. The French ladies definitely having their way with the snowboard women's field. There's a ton of them, and they're all right at the top of their game. While Tiffany is French, she is still hanging out in Verbier. That is her home right now. It's great to see her back in the mix. You know, it's unfortunate we had Katie Anderson go down, so Tiff got that last-minute call-up for it with the wild card, and she is on course.
Dropping in from start one, so already going to shake it up for the judges, working her way through this shelf and this bench section. There's lots of features and opportunity off here, so I'm excited to see what she's going to line up. Coming in, setting up this top drop, there is a bit of slough and runnel from the forerunners they have to work through. Coming in, lining it up, getting everything dialed. It is quite rocky here, so that's one thing the riders have to watch out for. It might be fresh snow, but rocks are hidden. It's beautifully working her way nice and fluid through that section. You know, you want to make sure you're moving. You want to make sure everything's going downhill, and she's doing a great job.
Yeah, fluidity definitely a big part of the 5 categories, and Tiffany airing off that. We kind of missed the angle, but looking clean as she gets down through these powder runnels and zipping across to this next section. She's got a little boulder underneath her, tip off it, and straight in control on the landing for Tiffany Pertin.
Coming down the tree section again, like I said, this is where riders are really going to have to get creative and find these small nubs and these airs to take off. Lining it up off the bottom, beautiful air, finding that fresh snow. You know, snowboarders make these beautiful turns in fresh snow, and it's so nice to watch even as a skier. Coming out with speed into this wind buff section. I'm nervous for a lot of the riders down here in the bottom because the forerunners said it is quite challenging snow. Off the wind lip, keeping it on her feet. Beautiful run by Tiffany Periton, keeping it through the finish corral. I'm stoked.
All right, and you can see there, the finish corral, there's not a lot of people crowded around it, but just about 30 meters to the side, there's a sunbeam, and all of the crowd that's gathered down here is sitting in the sun. Tiffany Periton kind of tossing her hands up as we take a look back at this run, Tom.
Working her way off that top. You know, that top is really tricky with the snow level. There's lots of sharks, and she managed that beautifully, keeping the fluidity up. Love this air. Unfortunately, a bit of a butt check. That was the angle that we missed. That is going to be a huge dock on control and fluidity, as we see from the video judge. And that's that crust that we were talking about underneath.
Yeah, you know, one of the hardest things in conditions like this, when you get into the air, your eyes see powder, and your brain sets your legs for a powder landing, which is a little softer, a little more give in the leg, but it's only a little bit of powder on top of that really firm crust. So we're seeing the score here coming in for Tiffany. It is a 52.67. You can see the reaction. Her face tells it all. She knows. So Marissa Krawczak there sitting in the hot seat. That was a big challenger fended off for Marissa in her quest to stay in that seat for the whole snowboard women's category.
Absolutely, and with these two women both on either side of the cut in the overall ranking at the end of the day, we might see some changes now, and we still have such a stacked field for the women to come up.
Yeah, could see a little switcheroo in the overall as we make our way up. You can see just how rugged this venue is. The T1 South in the Super Bowl area. The riders had a short hike, I think, especially compared to the last event in Verbier, about a 15-minute hike up the Terminator face, and we are heading back up to the top for Estelle Rizzolio, French rider, another French woman on the Freeride World Tour. She's a DJ, she's a coder. I don't know if we're going to get to see it, but she custom painted her board, and she was so stoked with the way it came out. It's hard to see just by the angle, but oh yeah, there you go. Bright pink. She's so stoked on representing her whole community. Estelle Rizzolio is on course.
Working her way out of start one again. You know, the riders get that option, and so whatever speaks to them, they're going to take first. Working her way into this technical section, into the closeout, lining it up, making sure she's getting everything dialed, and right off the nose, stomping it, staying in control. A little bit of a control issue coming in, trying to shut out. And again, you see that's where we see that crust influencing how the riders are going to have to manage their speed. Once you start going too fast, it's hard to shut down.
Yeah, really hard to slow down, really hard to get direction. And, you know, the instinct is to throw the board sideways. Sometimes a little bit of patience. There we go now.
Was sick nose grab off the top.
All right, well, Estelle firing things up. She's got a couple big airs. That's what she's become known for in her sophomore year here on the Freeride World Tour. Every time we see her strap in, she is sending. And another one, keeping it in the fall line there. Balanced and on point here for Estelle Rizzolio. This is a great run.
Keep coming down in the bottom. This is the most high-pressure situation. You want to finish it off strong, but you're finishing an awesome run. You just want to hold it together. Coming into the finish corral, you can see that she's stoked, holding on. She did have a control issue, but what an awesome run by Estelle. 3 huge airs. I'm so curious to see how the judges pull this one up with that control issue, but incredible riding.
All right, Tom, let's take a look back. This first air kicking things off for Estelle.
It's almost as if she got lost in her spray there. And then judges loving the line score. They didn't dock her too hard on fluidity and control.
Yeah, there might be a little ding, but she went so big. You know, I think it may balance itself out there, and the rest of her run was so solid. Estelle Rizzolio putting a stamp here on the T1 South face. A really solid run. You can see so fall line, so direct, and just filled with features. I have a feeling the judges are going to be pretty fired up with that one.
Yeah, that was an incredible run, and let's see what they
Here
get.
we go. Score coming in a 78 for Rizzolio. So Estelle taking over the hot seat, that hot pink board doing its job here on the kicking horse face. Big hugs there for Marissa as Estelle, you know, every time we saw it last year, she would either explode or she'd do super well, but every single time she was just out there sending. and kind of doing it with what seemed like a ton of joy, having a blast on the mountain. So really exciting to see for Estelle. As we move on, we've got the T1 face here, T1 South face, and our next rider is going to be a young Canadian who had her way with the Challengers last year. We'll catch up with Erin Sauvé.
Yeah, I'm excited to
Coming to Canada is feels a lot more familiar, and I've skied at Kicking Horse before, and I'm pretty excited to be back on home turf with snow that feels comfortable and like home. And I'm also super excited to have some friends and family here and supporting me, and yeah, just feeling a lot more at home. My strategy to pass the cut, well, number one is stay on my feet. That's a big one. And just pick lines that I feel comfortable with and that I'm excited to ride.
All right, Erin Sauvé, this is her home event. She's from just around the corner in Roslyn. She's the snow school director at Red Mountain. Last year, she absolutely crushed the Challenger Series, taking first. And she had a bit of a rough one in Verbier, just kind of figuring it out. It was her first time doing visual inspection, which is definitely a huge thing to do on the Bec des Roses. But Erin Sauvé now, the Canadian rider, is on the face.
I'm excited to see what she comes up with here. You know, all the qualifier riders have ridden this venue coming out of start one onto the bench again, and it offers so many good options. Let's see what she lines up here. It looks like she's coming into a bit of a double right off the top, taking the same air as Tiffany and stomping it, staying in control, shutting down. That's huge, so you can line everything up coming to the next feature.
Oh yeah, Erin with a strong start there. Similar approach to what we saw from Estelle, but actually airing onto the platform. Now she's heading way, way out to the riders, right? These kinds of things, they're not going to hurt fluidity as long as you're moving towards something. Now Erin gathering a handful of speed through the powder.
Working her way down into the tree section now. Let's see what she has lined up. There's a bunch of different gullies with feature options. Milking that snow, getting the snow up, enjoying the powder a little bit. Let's see what she has here down at the bottom.
I think that shows some real savvy there from Erin Sauvé, popping right off the nose of that one. And you can see she's directing herself to where there aren't tracks. For these riders, where the snow's not that deep, but if it's not chopped up, then you still have an opportunity to throw some spray and control your speed. So savvy riding from Sauvé. Savvy Sauvé wrapping up her run here as she finished out strong showing for the Canadian rider.
Putting one down on Canadian soil for the Canadian. I love to see it. Let's see what the judges think and if it will be enough to knock out that commanding score that Tiffany just put down.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we can take a look back here. I really liked Erin's approach to that first feature, dropping off and then sending right off the nose as we see the judging criteria, control way up, fluidity, and the line. Yeah, you may be right. Estelle may have had a few more features stacked in there, and some of them were really big, but nonetheless, a solid run, and I really like this final hit from Erin.
And it was such a clean run, too. No issues, no hands down. I'd love to see that. Staying in control in tough conditions is extremely challenging, and that's why they're the best of the best.
That's right. So,
everyone at home, love you, Roslyn.
All right, well, shout out to the homies there back in Roslyn. It was a nice quick commute for Erin Sauvé to get up here to Golden as the score coming in 71.67. So Erin putting herself into second. As you said, Tom, that line of Estelle Rosolio standing up to a solid challenge from Erin Sauvé. Estelle went hard on that one, and she's been rewarded for it. But we are not done. We still have a stacked field of women up at the top.
Absolutely, but this could also just be the score that she needs after the Verbier run. So this is great to see for Erin. Let's see what comes up next year.
She's in the mix for sure, sitting pretty in second. As we're going to head back up to our current rankings champion, Freeride World Tour leader. This is Nuria Castan-Baron. She was on the tour, then she was cut from the tour. She went back to the Challenger. She earned her way back on, and then she won her first event back in the Freeride World Tour family. So she's fired up. Nuria has had quite a journey in her various trips to Kicking Horse. The last time she was here, she rode on a broken ankle. This time, she's lost all her luggage, so she's riding on everybody else's borrowed gear. But the Freeride World Tour family coming through for Nuria and getting her all kitted out and ready to go.
Awesome. Dropping in out of start one again. It seems to be a popular start gate for the field. Let's see what she has lined up. She's been down this venue before, but in a bit better conditions and higher snowpack. beautifully working her way through. Oh, unfortunately clipping a rock and carrying too much speed into it. She's up. Let's see if she gives us the okay here. She did go over some rocks, shaking it off.
Yeah, right in the belly of that heel side turn. That whole edge was fully loaded and then clipped a rock. It is quite sharky in there, and this is one of the tricky bits of this venue right now. Oh, Nuria just getting scrambled up into this gully.
Yeah.
So she's just going to have to rock ride on out of there.
But she got through safely and clean, and she's continuing to ride. That's awesome to see. She can still put down some features and some stuff to get her line score and keep her score up. Awesome air coming into the powder. She wants redemption for that top section, so she's getting it, working those pow turns. Let's see what she can get down here.
Yeah, as you said, Tom, a bit of redemption, and sometimes you can salvage a score even with a fall because you don't necessarily want to give up and put yourself just, commit to being last. Salvage a few points, and Nuria's doing exactly that.
Yeah.
She's riding aggressively here.
Getting another little double bonus and a feature through the gut of that chute. Coming down into the wind lip. Awesome grab, pumping it, and working her way to the finish corral. Keeping it on her feet. I'm glad to see she's okay after going through those rocks. And like you said, Derek, tough for her losing all her gear to come here. As a rider, that's your biggest nightmare.
Absolutely, yeah. You can see, we'll have a look back at the replay as she approaches this. She gets herself into position, and then, she lost the edge as the ground rolled away from her, and it sent her right into those rocks. So high line score we're seeing from the video judge. That looked like it was a real uncomfortable fall.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad she didn't roll or go over the next cliff band, and she got back onto her feet. She kind of got sucked down low, working the pow down the chute though, and finding this awesome nugget right off the side, keeping it on her feet. As you said, you can salvage a run, and that's what she did. And that's professional riding, That's awesome, smart riding.
The mental side of that, to get yourself, when you've just been rattled completely at the top of your run, to be able to put yourself kind of back into the mental state, to continue to perform on the rest of your run, extremely difficult. That's why these athletes are pros. So the score there for Nuria, 36.33. That's a tough one for her. But luckily, she's still sitting on a first from Verbier, so she'll be able to shake that off as we head to Georgia for the next stop. But not going to be Nuria's day today, as we see Estelle Rosolio fend off the current ratings champion. So that's a big one kind of out of the way for Estelle in her quest. And as we only have 2 riders left at the top, that means Estelle is going to be on the podium today. Will Aaron and Marissa? Well, time will tell as we head back up to the top for our next rider, who's going to be Anna Martinez. Anna, a former freeride junior world champion, and right now sitting in 2nd overall in the Freeride World Tour. An incredible start for the young Chamonard, French rookie, and a pretty big splash in her debut on the Freeride World Tour.
Yeah, she absolutely killed it in Verbier, and she's the next only other women going up to start 2 that we've seen in this category. Coming in, dropping goofy on that toe side, working that ridge, getting the pow. It's nice when there's still some fresh snow. You've seen a rider go, but you still have lots of options for landing and takeoff. Coming into this cliff section and boosting it, stopping it, staying in control. Great start to the top of a run. Working the corners of these cliff bands is awesome, and stomping it again. Great run from Anna so far. Coming into this powder field, keeping her speed, keeping that energy up. That's what the judges love to see in this riding on this short venue. Keeping the speed and the energy going. Coming into the 3rd one, getting hung up, but making it work and staying on her feet.
Yeah, frantic pace here from Anna Martinez. A lot of strong backside riding. She's been on the heel side, kind of moving from riders left to right across and stacking the features up. Anna Martinez put more features in, I think, than we've seen from anybody else. Another little ollie there as she comes down into this low powder field. So strong from the young French rider, and a really, really good statement here for Anna Martinez, as now she's down into this wind crust. This is the part where we hold our breath and hope that they can just keep it together through the finish arch.
And you can see her board shaking through it, but she's through the finish corral with an amazing run. Will it challenge Tiffany Perron's commanding score of 78? I think it's going to be a great result for her today.
All right, well, unbelievable run there from Anna Martinez. Tom, let's take a look back at the replay.
Look at that pow moving off the top. It goes right over the side, stomping that first cliff on the traverse track too. Strong legs, from Anna, and coming into this next feature and also stomping it. Her slough going off the side, great management. You know, I expect to see that from a lot of the European riders in the bigger terrain that they ride on. And coming into the tree section with a great pace too. You know, making quick work of that smaller section at the bottom.
I love that turn there where she had the air and then she had to quickly slash back on her heel side to avoid running into that wall. You can actually see the little shape of the J there in the line tracker as Ana Martinez, extremely technical. Most of those airs at the top, all on the heel side edge. As you said, a goofy foot rider. So she was working that heel side and not getting jangled, not getting bounced, just holding on. She is a CrossFit professional, so you can tell that's working out. The legs and core rock solid as we see the score. Is it going to challenge Estelle? It goes up into the 80s. Ana Martinez with an 81.67 and taking over the lead from her French compatriot. Incredible riding there from Ana Martinez.
Love to see it. The two French taking 1 and 2 right now. That was an incredible run. Great line choice, great pace, great energy. And again, that's what the judges are going to be looking throughout the day.
Yeah, and I think the subtle difference there between her and Estelle did have that small mistake, but it was on such a huge line, the score still boosted up. Anna, just as technical, just as difficult, and flawless top to bottom.
Absolutely, and no control issues is what's going to keep you up into those top 3. So.
Oh, yeah, and we are back. This is the last rider for the snowboard women. It is Anna Orlova. In 23, she was the runner-up, or sorry, in 23, yeah, runner-up here at Kicking Horse, and 3rd last year. So Anna's got a deep, deep bag of snowboard skills, and now she's going to want to lay this down. She's seen the gauntlet thrown down by the French ladies, and Erin Sauvé now holding on to 3rd. We will see if Anna Orlova can have a say in the podium situation here at Kicking Horse.
Dropping in from start 1, like we've seen from the rest, most of the category, coming in, looks like she's going to be lining up a big air, making sure she's getting it dialed from the top. There's not a lot of landmarks on that, so they really want to make sure they're coming to the right section. Let's see what she has lined up. She's trying to avoid those sharks, as we saw from Nuria, and stomping it, finding that pow landing.
Oh, but Board just bumping out from under on the heel side there, unfortunately. That was a really creative take on that section.
Yeah, coming into that little shoot drop into the right. It's a bit hidden there, but staying on her feet, great speed, in control, shutting it out into the pow field and the tree section. Working off this nub here, stomping it again. You know, staying in control. She might have had a bit of a butt check up top, but she's flawlessly working her way through this bottom section and keeping a great pace too.
Yeah, reeling this back in and getting her mind back across court into this gully now. This is kind of chattery. Anna getting on the heel side edge just to shed a little bit of speed and catching another ollie there. So Anna Orlova, that was a bit of a roller coaster of a run. It had some really exciting good parts and then that one tough control issue at the top. But I love the way she approached the section that took Nuria down. A little bit different angle and it kept her on her feet all the way through.
Absolutely, and working her way through the finish corral. She's through. She did go in probably the steepest, most technical section. So let's see what the judges think of that in the line score. Great riding from a powerhouse rider and veteran on the tour.
All right, Tom, walk us through this replay as we see her in this technical section at the top.
Keeping her speed controlled and finding that pow landing, and it looks like she went over a tree, which actually bumped her board and knocked her off balance, but great riding through that shoot and air. Beautiful shutout turn, high energy. And look at all these landings and getting a grab in there as well and stomping it so clean and in control.
You could see the judges' bars there from the video judge. The line absolutely maxing out. And as we saw, the fluidity, unfortunately, a little bit down as she did basically come to a complete stop. Anna Orlova. Now we've got Anna, the other Anna Martinez, sitting in the Dina Star hot seat. Anna Orlova waiting for her score. I think with that little control issue, we're not going to see it challenge Anna Martinez here for the top spot on the throne as we wait anxiously. These moments as a rider, Tom, how difficult are they when you're just standing there waiting for the score to drop?
You're thinking about your whole career right now.
Are you happy
it's
right
horrifying. So as somebody that's been there many, many times,
tell us what you're running in French.
You're just praying and hoping, and you got down, but let's see what they give her. And I will say one thing. we always want to look for that top spot, but it's those middle pack results that can get you through the cut at the end of the day. It's those differences maybe between a 4th, a 5th, that have a huge impact on your overall. So consistent riding throughout the season is huge.
Judges weighing it up. You can see there there's a bit of a gap between Marissa Krozak and Erin Sove in 3rd and 4th. And, you know, a lot of these numbers are really to do with the ranking, or is it going to place above or below? And as you said, you know, a mid-pack result in these events can really elevate you over the cut line. So Anna now kind of nervously waiting for that score to drop. She knows she kind of had both sides of the coin there. She had some really solid sections, and then she had one serious control issue. So it jumps up a 71 for Anna Orlova. So that slides her into 4th. That's going to be, honestly, I think a pretty happy result for Anna, knowing that she went down. And for this young lady, it's all starting to dawn on her as the former junior world champion is sitting on the top of the throne here in snowboard women. The category is wrapped up, and Anna Martinez absolutely putting a stamp on it as we take a look at the event standings.
Look at that incredible riding from all the women today on this tough crust underneath. We saw some huge airs throughout the category too. They really put the judges to work today.
Big time, yeah. Tiffany Perton there and Nuria Castan-Baron rounding things out. Neither of them having quite the day that they were looking for. Anna Martinez with the 81.67. Incredible riding from her, and so stoked to see her come back. And here we have the 3 podium finishers. Estelle Rizzolio in 2nd, Erin Sove with her first podium on the Freeride World Tour, and Anna Martinez backing up that strong start to the season in Verbier with a win here at Kicking Horse.
And that is your podium. All smiles and cheers for these women today. Incredible riding. And let's see how this shakes up the overall standings.
All right, well, let's see. Anna Martinez taking over the top spot. She's going to be in that leader's bib moving forward. Estelle Rizzolio now sitting in 2nd. Nuria Castan down to 3rd, but still above the cut. And Erin Sove, just as you suspected, Tom, with a strong result, jumping up to the good side of the cut here. So a big shakeup in the snowboard women's standings here after the Kicking Horse results come in.
And look at how tight the scores are between the 2nd and 3rd right now. You know, Anna Martinez with a good commanding lead, but 2nd and 3rd are still up for grabs. Very much coming into the next competition, and especially for Tiffany and Marissa.
All right, well, incredible riding there from the snowboard women here on the T1 South Face at Kicking Horse. We are going to be right back with the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro after this short break. Welcome back, Freeride friends. If you're just joining us, this is the Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance. It is the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro. I'm Derek Foose. I'm joined in the booth by my good friend Tom Pfeiffer. We're bringing you all the action live here from Kicking Horse Mountain Resort, and we are just about ready to kick things off with the snowboard men. We just saw fireworks from the snowboard women. A solid go. Here is where we're sitting in the overall situation. Victor De La Rue taking the big win in Verbier, another Verbier title. under his belt. Holden Samuels and Timmy Schroeder, two young guns really making a stamp on things. And then as we move down, John Powell sitting in exactly where he likes to be, just under the radar a little bit. And then moving on down, we had a few riders who didn't quite have their way in Verbier. Michael Mon, Liam Rivera, who had the win here last year, Hugo Serra, and Cody Bramwell. I have a feeling we're going to see Cody coming back firing today, as he is one of the strongest riders on this tour.
Absolutely. There's a lot on the line today coming into the second competition of the year here in Kicking Horse. The men that did not had a bad run in Verbier are going to be working hard today. Starting off today, we have Gabriel Bletton and followed by the American Brian Stenerson. The overall current leader, Victor Delarue, is going to go watch two very skilled riders work their way down before he gets to drop. And then Cody, who's going to be hunting for a result, is going to get to watch these guys, see what they can do. The Americans today, I think, are going to have a huge advantage, who have come through the qualifying series here, where traditionally we compete on quite a bit harder, firmer snow. So it's going to be anyone's game here today. Tim Schroeder and Ludovic Guyot-Diat are going to be closing out the day, two incredibly skilled riders, so it's going to be an action-packed afternoon.
All right, well, let's take a look at what you thought. 82% of you thinking Victor Delarue is going to be the man here. Peak Performance Fun Bet fan favorites, 55% betting on Cody Bramwell, and Leo Rivera looking for a big result here. 45% of you feeling that he is going to be on the podium. These percentages are how many of you think that these riders are going to be standing on the podium at the end of the day here in Kicking Horse. So Peak Performance Fun Bet, get on it. It's a blast. It's a fantasy free ride. You can vote for your favorite riders. We see John Powell just focusing up there at the top, as he is, one of the most solid riders on the tour. Understated as always, but as soon as he kicks out of the start gate, always exciting to watch. You know, one of the things I think is best about this, Tom, and you've lived it, the camaraderie up at the start gate is just so incredible. It really is a family.
Absolutely, and everyone's under the same pressure and nerves, and everybody's there for each other. Nobody's going to be closed off to anyone. Everybody's focused, staying in their own headspace, but it's all one free ride family. And if you're feeling unsure about something, you can just ask one of your buddies. We're all there to help each other. We're all there to compete and win, but it's a great group of individuals on tour this year.
Yeah, so, maybe give us a little bit of insight into that sort of start gate, top of the mountain mindset, because everybody's got really different processes that they go through to get themselves ready. Some people can't stop talking. Some people are cracking jokes. Others are off to the side by themselves.
Yeah, no, it's how you handle your nerves and how you can get yourself into that mental state before the start gate and before the drop. There's a lot of distractions up there. I like to chat a bit, stay a little bit relaxed. You'll see a lot of that with some of the riders, as we saw Cody and Michael standing there, probably having a good conversation, keeping it relaxed. But then as you move into that start gate, as you get put into that hot seat on deck when they call your name, it's all focus. It's nothing but respect for the riders who are going to be going up to battle and trying to put it down. So I'm super excited to see what gets thrown down here today. As I said, the margins are thin this year with 3 competitions before the cut. Today could mean everything for some of these men in the start gate.
All right, so we are 30 seconds out from our first rider in the snowboard men's category. Kicking things off today is going to be Gabriel Bletton, French rider. He had a banging run going in Verbier before he crashed. And one of the coolest things I think about Gab, he came back from injury. He built himself back up. Anna called him half man, half metal. And he is sitting in 8th place right now overall on the qualifier series for skiing.
That is insane.
Yeah, this man is a multi-talented rider, 37 years old. He's got a baby on the way. It's such an exciting season for Gab Bletton, and he is now on course. Snowboard men underway here at Kicking Horse.
Gabriel dropping out of start 2, opening it up for the snowboard men, working that ridge in that fresh snow, and getting caught by a rock or crust going down. Let's see, it's right at the top. He can still absolutely salvage his run, coming off a huge cliff and going right bottom to that crust, but holding on.
Yeah, you can see how hard he hit with the backflip. Gab landing almost dead sideways there on his heel side edge, still tossing it though, just going full send here for the French rider, slashing the powder now. That's a tough start for Gab Bletton.
And down again, unfortunately. You can see this is where anything that's too high impact, you're going to find that super hard crust, and coming out through the POW, enjoying a bit of it, staying on his feet, staying safe, getting to the finish corral, mocking through. Unfortunately, not the run that Gabriel would have wanted today, but it's going to give a good read for the rest of the riders in the start gate of how they're going to have to adjust their lines.
Big time, yeah. Gab Letton going all in on that, Tom, as we look back to this first feature, a huge air off the top.
Just sending it, and you can see right there, the crust just absolutely takes their legs out. I don't care how strong you are, and a huge backflip to follow it up, but again, can't quite hold on. And you know, that's one of the things, as we've mentioned, you want to just keep sending it, but eventually you're just going to have to take yourself out of that go, go, go mindset and just get safe, get down. And as you see that here, working that POW, enjoying it, huge turn.
Yeah, riding to the conditions is going to be the name of the game today. Gabriel Letton biting off a bit more than he could chew with that line. And Tom, you nailed it there, that the read that the other riders are going to get on that. So 27.33 for Gab Letton. Obviously, huge control issues a couple of times. I wonder how rattled he got when he was riding down the ridge and started his run, unfortunately, by going straight over the front of his board.
And that's such a big mental shake. You know, right then and there, you just know that it's not going to be the run that you want. And it just removes you a little bit from that headspace you need to be in to stay completely focused. And, you know, dropping first is so challenging. You know, they set the bar for the rest of the category on score, so it's a ton of pressure, especially in these tricky conditions.
All right, back up to the top we go with Brian Stenerson. Brian earning his way onto the tour through the Challengers last year. He wants to give a big shout out to Rocker and Grizz, his two pups, as well his girlfriend and his sister traveling here with him to join him. They were giving him a little bit of crap after Verbier for shouting out to his dog and not to them. So big shout outs to the Steners family as he is on course now out of start one.
Ripping out of the start gate, start one coming down that bench. Lots of options here to get creative for the snowboardmen, for Brian. Working his way down to this top cliff band, avoiding the sharks and staying on his feet, stomping, shutting it down over this cliff band. Let's see what you can line up. Getting a little caught up on speed, popping and finding an awesome transition and bolts. Look at how strong those legs are off the nose. And stomping again, staying in control, and he saw what that crust did, and he said, no, thank you, I'm going to be in charge today.
An absolute clinic in board control here from Brian Stenerson as he makes his way over to this rider's right gully, getting a little tangled in the tree, but not going down in another air as he keeps it in the fall line. You can see there's only one track in this section. Heel side, quick feet there for Brian Stenerson as he comes down now into this wind press section, lining up the bottom wind lip, popping 180, and he's riding switch. I think he was looking for the nose butter there or just trying to keep going. It's actually kind of unusual with the temperatures being as cold as they are. The snow, especially in the shade, has gotten really sticky.
Yeah, absolutely, and you saw that there. You saw his board starting to get shaken, but he made it through. Excellent control and such solid riding from Brian, taking it to bolts.
All right, Tom,
look at
run
that
us
top
through this.
air.
Yeah, so strong
just,
at the top.
He didn't even move. You know, that just stomped it, lined up that transition, and awesome, and staying in control through that crust, through that chewed up section. You got a little hung up on a tree, but he managed to keep his balance and just staying in the air, keeping that energy high, popping off whatever he could find down there, and a nice 180. But you see, look at that board shake through that tough snow. It's keeping it super fall line from start one after that little bank, and the judges love to see that.
Yeah, that was a strong run from Stenny there as he now waits for the score. He's looking at the monitor, looking at us.
Shouting out to the sponsors. Let's see what he gets.
Score coming in for Brian Stenerson, a high 76.67. So Stener's going to take over the hot seat from Gab Letton as he's really put down a solid performance here on the T1 South face.
Rightfully taking that hot seat.
Yeah, that was great. Really, really strong run. And as we kind of said at the beginning of the show, some of the North American riders, as well as the Scandies and the Kiwis, are going to be solid on this face, on these conditions, as we're heading back. You know, incredible run there for Stenner.
Yeah. As you know, coming right out of the qualifiers, he still has this hard condition mindset right into his riding, and he handled it beautifully. So, you know, two very different runs to start off the category. Let's see what the other men are going to think.
Well, they're going to learn a ton from that. And, you know, really, really solid, like good line choice, lining up things without a ton of impact.
Let's give it a shot, sure.
As we move back up to the top, this man leading the rankings, we got a chance to catch up with Victor.
My goal for this season is to try to find on each competition features that is inspiring me, like looking at the face, and to just write something that I would be stoked to write.
All right, well, Victor, as always, looking for the inspiration from the mountain. He's wearing that fire bib that indicates that he is the overall rankings leader on the Freeride World Tour, taking a huge win in Verbier to start the season off. Victor was out last year with injury, got the injury wildcard back onto the tour, and I'm pretty sure when that press release went out, the rest of the riders in the snowboard men's field shaking in their boots.
Off out of start two, right off the top, super technical, exposed air, and keeping it in control. Coming in off this shelf, let's see what he has lined up. And incredible double, oh my gosh.
Gapping the shelf. Victor has a tendency to start his run with a bang, and he has done that once again. A huge move. Victor going right away for the backside 360 and solid. An incredible first half of the run here for Victor De La Rue.
Let's see what he can cook up down in this tree section where there's a lot of hidden trees and nubs to work through, but he can be super creative. Coming in, keeping the pace high. Let's see off this bottom little low angle cliff and popping, staying on his feet, working his way out. Incredible riding from Victor. Can he hold on through this wind buff section? No wind lip air, just wants to get through after that insane run.
Well, smart finish there from Victor. You can't win the comp at the bottom, but you can definitely lose it at the bottom on that wind lip. And Victor De La Rue with a stamp on the T1 South face. Just classic De La Rue run. You know, we're going to see here on the replay, this top section, Tom.
Look at that double and landing and right off. The amount of control that you have to have on that first landing to come off, avoid rocks, and stay in control. Huge backside three to follow it up, keeping that energy and style score high. The judges love to see a mix of both, especially in this venue where you can be technical and creative, and there's also great lips, and Victor utilizing every part of this venue today.
Yeah, and just showing that savvy that he's got in the lower tree maze, keeping it pretty fall line, not letting himself get caught up in the crust or the trees or anything. If you keep your board pointed down, you're not going to get caught on anything, and then just deal with the speed down on the apron. Victor showing the veteran savvy that he's got across all venues as the score ramping up. 88.33 for Victor De La Rue, backing up the beginning of the season performance with another huge one as Brian Stenerson's stint in the hot seat coming to an end, and Victor going to be taking his throne as the king of snowboard men.
Absolutely, and that was an incredible run up top. You know, we didn't get to see the replay of that entrance, but it's super exposed cliff right off the top. Like what he did in Verbier, right out of the start gate, keeping the energy high. We're going back up to the start gate.
And we see Cody Bramwell here. A couple years ago, we had Cody in a three-way battle for the overall title with Victor De La Rue and BMO, Blake Moeller. The three of them just going back and forth, blow for blow, as Cody Bramwell, the British rider, he's back on tour after injury. So exciting as he pushes out of the gate to start things off.
And I'm always excited to see what he has lined up because he's so creative and has such a good trick bag. Coming into this bench section where we saw Brian come in earlier, keeping it clean through the rocks, staying in control as he comes into this next big cliff band, going through that cliff chute, shutting it out, staying on his feet. Keeping it simple for him is going to be huge today after his finish in Verbier, working his way through that POW, just enjoying a little bit. This is where you can kind of reset after that intense top section. Huge backflip off that lip and staying on his feet through the chute, shutting down, staying in control, popping again, working the bottom of that section. Cody putting on a clinic through the bottom half of this venue, keeping the energy and the pace so high. I love to see that. That's classic Cody riding through the finish corral. That's exactly what he needed today, just something on his feet, something consistent and reliable.
Full throttle Cody Bramwell. That is exactly what we have come to expect from this man, and he is going to be hyped up on that high five there with Victor as the two of them kind of just sharing their experience. And Cody Bramwell blowing us away with that massive cross-court backflip. We'll see here on the replay, Tom, as he made his way through the chute and then he just hit the gas.
Yeah, absolutely. And staying in control, shutting it down and finding up the trajectory for that lip, getting the speed, huge backy to just perfect landing and shutting down through the bottom of that chute, making quick work of it. Not getting lost in his slough. Great show of riding from Cody through this today. Will that top section be enough to challenge Victor? He kept it safe through that chute, but it was an excellent, super fluid line.
Yeah, you could see on the bars the line score was a little bit lower than what we saw from Victor with that incredible start. We'll see if we can catch some of their thoughts here.
Oh my God.
You can see how intense this short venue can still be for these guys. Cody out of breath, but...
What'd you get scored yet?
88.
Oh my God, good shit.
Well, Victor looking very comfortable in a seat that he has become used to sitting in, the Dino-Star hot seat there. He's got his board up top.
We're going to be drunk we're going to be drunk in 1 hour.
There is going to be a good party for these boys.
All right, well, Cody Bramwell, the score coming in, it's going up. It's into 71-6-7, so sliding in just behind Brian Stennerson and a couple spots behind Victor De La Rue. So that's going to be a solid result. Cody just needed something good to get himself back onto the uphill side of the cut, and I think he did exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And moving into Georgia, you know, having a good result under your belt or something, or a run that you've landed and completed is huge for your mental game as a rider in this season.
For sure. Confidence is everything on the Freeride World Tour. As we see back up the beautiful start gate at the top of Kicking Horse, we've got Big Mike, Michael Mon. Michael having, again, a bit of a tumble in the first event, right now sitting in 10th overall. He's another one going to be looking for a strong result. I have a feeling for Michael that this venue and the conditions could really fit nicely with his skill set.
He is so technically proficient in challenging snow conditions, and that's something I've witnessed in person. So I'm so excited to see what he has coming into the top section, making quick work of those sharks, and a nice 3 off the top over the bench, shutting it down, staying in control, popping again. Unfortunately, a bit of a wash, but nothing too major. Let's see how he comes into this bottom lip. Another 3, stomping it.
Boom for Michael Mon. The long and lows coming through. Now he's got to get through this lower gully section, completely pinned. The board handling skills of Michael Mon coming through in spades here as he is absolutely flying into the bottom section.
Michael Mon showing us what he can do in tough snow. Excellent line. 3 right off the top backside. Over that shelf is so exposed if something goes wrong.
Yeah, aggressive take from Michael Mon, and he knew he had to do something. You know, going down in Verbier, he's sitting lower in the rankings than he'd like to.
You guys are too kind.
You know, Michael, one of the kindest guys on tour. So humble. Awesome. Look at that. Just didn't even move. Just stomped and right off another air, staying in, keeping his speed up. Judges love to see that link of features. Again, right into a POW landing. The judges, the bar looking high, and look at how fall line that run is, just right down the middle of the venue.
Oh, that was so exciting for Michael Mon. So a strong line at the top. The boldness of that 360 at the very beginning off the shelf, just popping off that edge, and the judges have had their say. Score coming in 81-33, just behind Victor De La Rue, and Michael Mon putting himself into second, and he is stoked.
Look at that. That is a great show of riding. Even with that little shutdown control issue, he salvaged it and kept it fast, high energy, high paced, lots of tricks. Michael's, again, such an incredible rider in these conditions.
All right, well, incredible show so far from the snowboard, man. These guys are just having their way with the T1 face, as we had a chance to catch up with Holden Samuels after his strong performance in Verbier.
Yeah, so it's my second year on tour, I did have a really good start, getting second place, and that gave me a lot of confidence going into the rest of the year. I'm really trying to get another solid run down in Kicking Horse so I can guarantee a spot in the finals. Definitely trying to have as much fun I can on tour, take advantage of the really cool places and people we get to meet. I'm also trying to win this year, so.
Well, 2 years in a row for this rider, starting off the very first event with a huge result. He was second in Verbier, and now he's going to be looking to back that up. The Bozeman rider, him and Michael Mon, really good travel buddies, as well as Warren Doyle. The three of these guys all living in the same zone, and Holden Samuels on course right now to try to back it up.
Coming out of start one again, there's lots of option this one, so I'm not surprised that the riders are taking this one. They can also get fall on right away. Let's see what he has lined up. Huge backflip off the top. Oh my gosh.
Unable to hold on. Holden Samuels going absolutely ham out of the gate with a massive backflip, and another one not quite able to get the rotation.
Holden sending it off the top, going for broke for everything. And you know, sometimes that strategy works, sometimes it doesn't, but huge move and just keeping it in control now. 2 crashes, pretty sizable. He just wants to get down. You know, this is where you say, I'm going to shut it down, get down safe. I'm glad he's up and moving after 2 big crashes on this firmer snow underneath. But massive backflip off the top, keeping the energy high. And that just shows you what Holden is capable of doing and what he's looking to do.
This is really an insight into mindset, too, because Holden Samuels already sitting on a great result. In his mind, he's like, all right, I can go for it here because I don't need to worry about it. Whereas both Cody and Michael, below the cut coming into this event, they needed something solid. So Holden going absolutely ham, gunning for basically the win or that, and not working out for him, I think, with the conditions. But let's take a look back, Tom. This was unbelievable.
Boom, huge set and just laying it out. And yeah, you can just see there, it's that crust underneath that just comes up so fast, even with that fresh snow. And trying to go for it again here. I think he got a little, his pop got a little delayed from the fresh snow in that fresh takeoff, working his way down. You know, second year on Tour 2 is also a challenging spot to be in. You've proved yourself, now you want to stay on.
Yeah, well, Holden Samuels is going to still be holding on to that great result he had from Verbier. This one is not going to be a podium result for Holden, but he certainly showed us what he's got in the bag there. Holden Samuels' score coming in at a 22. That's going to be good enough for 6th so far, as Holden going to just, I think, do a bit of a systems check. Hopefully he's feeling all right after a couple of heavy slams.
Yeah, and you know his good buddy Michael Mon runs the, it's a really good advocate for the head and the concussion program here on the World Tour. So I'm sure he's going to take a breather, sit down, and be okay. Hopefully he did finish the run on his feet.
So here's where we're sitting. Victor De La Rue in first, Michael Mon in second, Brian Stenerson sitting in third spot, another Bozeman rider. So the 3 best buddies going back to back to back. The next one in the crew, Warren Doyle. He had a solid run in Verbier. We're going to see him now kick things off. This guy has the whole package. He's got all the tricks and unbelievable board skills. Warren Doyle, a couple slashes to get things started.
Coming out of start 2, working that ridge, coming into that same area we saw Gabriel hit. Huge air and stomps it, staying in control. You can see him holding on, working that power and popping, keeping that energy high off of anything he can find afterwards. Coming into that lower tree section, mocking and again finding another nub to pop off. That's huge for the whole line score, breaking through his spray and his slough.
So pinned here for Doyle, as he is top to bottom one of the fastest runs that we've seen, finding every little feature. And he really found the angle that Gableton missed on that top air, finding a bit of transition, getting a quick method there. Shout out to Method Freeride as Warren Doyle riding with that crew, and he is pumped. Big hugs for his roommate, Michael Mon, travel buddies, and partners in the World Tour here. That was a great run there from Doyle.
Yeah, and you know what? On this shorter face, that speed, the judges really recognize just keeping everything linked. Finding that angle and sending it, just getting the grab and holding on. You saw him come back, but staying in control overall and finding all these extra side rollers and lips to pop off. He got the tree tap there. He might have been trying to go over it, but you know, great bonus points, gets the method there, holds on. great run.
Tom, you spoke earlier that you thought the long and low airs were going to be the key on this face today with the conditions, with that firm snow underneath. And we saw Warren just sticking exactly to that blueprint, working out for him for sure. That run top to bottom, absolutely pinned with a massive air at the top. So again, the line score, as we hear him and Victor just kind of trading stories.
Dude, it was all flat. We held on. It was better than I thought, to be honest.
Sweet. That's awesome to hear. Better than you thought. You know, he did take a high impact air off the top, and so far it's a 50-50 crash land rate. So that's going to be, again, a challenging thing for the rest of the guys up in the start gate.
Yeah, and I think that was a testament to him doing his homework. That angle that he took, he did find a little bit of a rollover to land on that Gableton definitely didn't have. And for him to be able to stomp that was incredible. Now the judges having to get to work as they're putting their scores in, trying to match up what the riders did to those 5 criteria. And the numbers coming in here for Doyle, 79.67. So putting himself right in the mix with that, a solid effort from the American rider out of Bozeman. Really, really strong statement. And another one who was looking for something good, and he has delivered it.
Absolutely, and going straight to the friends, all the fans supporting. You know, we're all friends down at the finish corral. Victor giving him mad props for that run. It's great to see.
All right, well, no breaks here at the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro young Swiss rider Liam Rivera. He has been, it feels to me like he has been in free ride forever. First got to meet him way back in 2016 at the Junior World Championship, and he's been in the mix ever since. Liam Rivera riding out of Verbier, and he is on course here at Kicking Horse.
Out of start 1, lots of different start options for these men today. Let's see what he can line up after that huge backflip from Holden. Coming in, taking his time to set it up and get it just right in these tricky conditions. Huge 3 and holding on, shutting down.
That was so technical, spinning off the heel edge over that exposure. Liam Rivera getting things started with a bang here in the snowboard men's category. He's got a nice diving board lined up underneath him as he sets to switch. The backside 180, Liam just bringing all the technical tricks here.
Loving to see all the tricks getting thrown in and popping off that nose in the tree section right above it, keeping the pace up, working his way through. Let's see if he can get another feature here and wrap up that line score. Awesome riding from Liam, holding on through these trees, coming out, flying into this wind buff section. Again, this is where runs are lost, into the wind lip, stopping it with the extra credit and coming into the finish corral. Tons of tricks, tons of grabs. The judges are going to love that. Looking at the pace that we just saw from Warren, you know, we did see a little bit of a fluidity holdback from Liam on some of those setting them up, but there's a trade-off to getting your tricks right and getting them landed.
Yeah, let's take a look back at this first one, Tom.
Stomping it, holding on in through that chop that we're starting to see. The venue's getting ridden out now. 180 to 180, super clean. You can see that crust getting him to wheelie, holding on, but still in control, finding that pow, making clean work of the bottom section. You know, as this stuff gets ridden out, there's going to be a lot of little trees, and he just navigated that beautifully.
Yeah, Liam with a completely different take on this competition face, going into an area that we haven't seen a lot of traffic, but making very, very good work of it.
Yeah.
Merci, mec.
Well, Liam and Victor just catching up there. Liam waiting for the score. Victor sitting very comfortably in the Dynastar hot seat as he has seen a couple of big challengers fend it off with that huge score that he laid down early in the snowboard men's field. But a really, really strong run there from Liam Rivera.
And we're going to see where these points end up. You know, I'm starting to see second, third, fourth, fifth are all starting to stack up pretty tight with points and scores. So, you know, we're going to see how the rest of the category shakes up, but we'll see where Liam ends up sitting after that run. Huge, huge run with tons of tricks and grabs, keeping that energy and style score high.
Well, anxious moments for Rivera as the score coming in with a 78. So Liam moving himself into 4th place. You can see his reaction. He's like, wow, what's it going to take?
Yeah, it's going to be, you know, it's an interesting day. It's those, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 medium to smaller features or 3 big features and staying in control. And it's just, it really depends on the rider's style, where they're at in the overall. It's all these little things they have to account for and see how they can put it down on this day.
Real bunch up there between 2nd and 5th right now in the snowboard men's category. We head back up to the start gate where we are looking at Hugo Serra. Hugo, French rider, living in Verbier, running the free ride team there. This guy is, he is truly the epitome of giving back. He's always friendly. He'll take people riding. He's kind of a favorite among the youth and the younger riders. He just sort of takes everyone under his wing. And I was so stoked after he got cut a couple years ago to see him earn his way back through the Challenger Series and see Hugo Serra back on the Freeride World Tour.
And the amount of skill and consistency that takes is massive. Coming out of start 1, Hugo coming out with some speed. You know, he's quite a tall individual too, and that can make riding and freeride challenging. Working his way through that bench, making quick work at the top section, coming into a cliff band we haven't seen a lot of other riders go into, making the first tracks.
Yeah, fresh tracks for Hugo. Dropping in, and now he's lining up right off the nose of the buttress. A perfect connection with the ground. Hugo Serra with a strong statement at the start of his run.
Coming through that section into this nose, awesome front side 3, holding on, shutting down. The crust isn't going to get the better of him today. Working his way into the top of this tree section, navigating through it, looking for his landmarks. You know, all these lips and knobs are going to start looking the same eventually, so you've really got to do your homework. Coming into this bottom nose.
Fall line with the back 3 and connecting again. Hugo Serra now pinned out. So bringing the freestyle onto the Kicking Horse T1 South face. Hugo Serra was another rider who went down on a hot run in Verbier and now really showing exactly what he's made of as he gets a big hug from Victor De La Rue coming flying across. Victor still holding that fire bit, but a really, really good run for Hugo Serra.
This is going to be a run that might shake it up here, and it was a super solid run, and I love the creativity up top. We hadn't seen anyone go there. Finding it off that top knob, setting up with the crust and the conditions, getting it perfectly dialed, and just going to bolts. Didn't even move, made such easy work of that feature. Great job keeping that energy and trick with the 3. Coming in again, keeping the pace high.
Yeah, Aaron style and technique maxing there for Hugo. A slight ding on fluidity as he kind of lined it up, but you could see Victor De La Rue loving it. He's in a comfortable spot, and just watching your friends shred is one of the best parts about all of this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, seeing what they're all capable of, knowing how well they can ride, and just getting to see them throw it down on a good day is probably one of the best feelings to landing your own run. So let's see what Hugo can pull off here. Will it be enough to put him into a top 3 spot?
Well, I love hearing these guys just catching up. Victor always stoked for the rest of the crew when they lay one down. It's easy to be stoked for your friends when you're sitting in the hot seat too. It's a pretty comfortable spot, so the judges getting to work again. The snowboard men consistent across the board as we see right now the situation. De La Rue, Michael Mons still holding on to 2nd, Doyle in 3rd. We saw Liam Rivera slide himself into 4th, so it's really stacked up there in the points.
And 2nd to 5th is tight right now. You know, that's only going to get tighter throughout the day, and so let's see where Hugo can slot in there.
Yeah, I think he's going to be right in the mix with the rest of those boys as the score dropping now, moving on up a 79. So Hugo into 4th right now, so strong showing for Hugo Serra, the French rider out of Verbier. High fives for Victor as he is going to move off, and another strong contender fended off by the man leading the rankings, holding on to that fire bib as we head straight back up. The pace absolutely frantic here at the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro. We are underway with the snowboard men's category. You can see tracks starting to form. There's some runnels from the slough pouring off the cliffs as the riders riding above some of these features as we're moving on into the man who is the most understated but one of the most solid riders on the Freeride World Tour, John Powell, Jonathan Penfield, living in Squamish, still riding under that American flag. We've seen him win multiple stops on the Freeride World Tour over the years. He's so solid on his board as John Powell gets things started.
No surprise here coming out of start 2 for John Penfield. Loving that pow on the top of the ridge, coming into this cliff shoulder, keeping it clean, lining it up as if nothing just happened there, but stomping that air. And huge backside 3 to bolts. Classic Jonathan Penfield style. So quiet, so understated, but just such a shredder as he works his way into this top tree section, making quick work of the top of that venue. Coming in, finding this rock nub, setting it up into the chute, trying to work off the side of these little runnels at the bottom of the venue is super fun for snowboarders. Again, maxing out that energy and air style, getting the grab, extra bonus points in the bottom, coming through. Super clean run from Jonathan Penfield in classic style.
Yeah, another solid run. Never put a hair out of place. Jonathan Penfield across the line. We see him, you know, across the spectrum of the venues. The steeper and gnarlier it gets, the better you see John Penfield perform. But again, he's just so solid. Top to bottom, never put a foot out of place. Finding some creative lines, adding a few features as we look back on this run.
Yeah, working that top nut, finding that transition in the pow landing there, and huge backside 3 to bolts. You know, he's an excellent rider in these conditions. He's no stranger to riding hard, tough conditions, and he's always excelling in it. Let's see if the bottom line score will be enough to challenge the top of the field that we've seen today after some great riding and big tricks through the bottom section though.
Yeah, he had a strong top, and it's tricky in that bottom tree maze to line up. There's almost like a gluttony of options where there's too many choices, so you end up...
But good turns here and there.
All right, good turns here and there for John Pow. Score coming into 69, so John Penfield into 8th there as he is kind of reacting to the score. Maybe not quite what he was hoping for. Judge sport, it's always tough. You do your bit, and then the judges have to do their part.
Yeah, and you know, it's also challenging, you know, at a certain point in the start gate, you stop focusing on other riders and you start focusing on yourself. And if you miss what other guys are doing and see those little pieces of information that you could gain, it's, you know, it's to no fault of anyone's own, but not the score that I think Jonathan wanted to walk away from. You could see it on his face, but still a consistent result on his feet still means a lot in a small season like this.
For sure. Back up to the top, Timmy Schroeder riding out of Innsbruck. He's a staple in the Innsbruck free ride scene. This man, another one who's coming back from injury. He's got a ton of metal in his body, but it didn't look to slow him down at all as he finished on the podium in his very first Freeride World Tour event, and he is now on course here at Kicking Horse.
Out of start 2 again, the top of the venue, working his way down the ridge, as we just saw from JP. Going all the way off to that nub. Looks like he's going to be taking quite a different line. We haven't seen huge 3 and stomping it. Milking that fresh line in the pow. The judges are going to love to see that. Super creative.
High speed there for Timmy Schroeder as he's taken a completely different approach than the rest of the riders. And another untapped feature. Tim Schroeder fighting for balance there. He has got it solid on his board.
And he's just getting a fresh power run here too. He doesn't have to worry about any tracks. Now he's navigating this tree maze on the bottom right of the venue. This is where it's going to get really tricky for riders. Let's see how he handles it. Huge pow slash, just loving it. I love to see that. Getting the extra air and the bonus points at the bottom, finding his way through the maze. Look at that footwork through the trees, down through the wind buff section. Creative, fresh, new line. The judges love watching something new.
Yeah, you can clearly see there as he hit the line where the wind has had an effect on the snow, the board bouncing around, but not causing him any grief as Timmy Schroeder across the line. Definitely, it looks like he caught a tree there on his pants as the a little bit of a new vent there on his pants. That's tough on a minus 20 day at Kicking Horse.
Oh, wow, right through into the base layer. I hope he's okay here, but he's walking fine, all smiles.
No, we didn't even pick that up.
No.
Somewhere along the way, a tree reached out and wanted a piece of Timmy Schroeder's pants.
Well, that's what you get when you're greatness after that run in Verbier and that awesome creative line that we just saw. And stomping that 3 like it was nothing. You know, when you're going to do a trick, you have to do it perfectly. That's kind of the rule here is they don't want any mistakes if you're going to max out a feature, and holding it there through the crust.
So one thing that I'm curious about this line, Timmy really solid at the top, but this gully down below didn't offer a lot of options for features for him to really kind of send it and cap the runoff with an exclamation point. Victor absolutely loving it there. You can see on the line tracker that lower section in the gully, there's not a lot of meat on that bone, so it'll be interesting to see what the judges do with the line score there for Timmy.
Oh yeah, that's a good cut to the leg.
Through the base layer, so exposed skin out here at Kicking Horse. That's going to be chilly for Timmy Schroeder.
But let's see what the judges thought of that new, fresh, creative line. You know, you can't understate those, especially on a day like today on these smaller venues that are a little more compact. It can be quite huge for the line score, and that's the king score that they're going to base everything off of at the end of the day. Still excited.
See you out in Georgia.
Well, I just love the energy of the riders when they're in the finish line. The job's done, and they are just kind of, it's the equal parts relief and stoke. All
I
those
was going to
bits.
strip naked later, but...
He's going to have to do it now instead. All right, score coming in for Schroeder, an 80.67. The judges loving what they saw from Timmy Schroeder. Like you said, Tom, that creative approach and that huge cross-court 360 at the top, getting the judges fired up.
Absolutely, and you know, when you do a brand new line, there's no standard set from previous lines or features, right? As the other riders hit that, you know, if you're going to make an error on a cliff that was already stomped, it's going to really hurt you. But Timmy finding a new line. Back up to the top here, closing it off with Ludovic Guillot-Diat.
Well, Ludo Guillot-Diat, he is the reigning Freeride World Tour champion. He had a solid run in Verbier, but then everyone else just went full dynamite mode and kind of pushed him down a bit. He ended up 8th. So Ludo, I feel like his both board handling skills and strength are going to lend themselves well to both the snow conditions and the venue that we're riding on here today at Kicking Horse, as the champ is on the face, the last man in the snowboard men's field.
Dropping in regular out of start one, coming down that bench, slashing the POW, getting the energy up, lining up this top section and the feature that he's going to choose to open up his run with. Awesome double, stomping it, staying in control, shutting down, finding that corner, again, staying in control.
Yeah, really stacking it up there. 3 features right off the bat for Ludo, getting the grab. A little more riders left than we saw other people land, and that gave him the opportunity to land in fresh snow, which at this point in the game is huge. And Ludo Guillot-Diat now just pounding his way down the central couloir of this T1 face.
Let's see what he has lined up here. A huge backflip, stomping it, and a little bit of a catch, but it didn't look like he went down, and just pinning it out of the bottom, getting out of the venue. He says, I'm done with you.
Almost going down in the Dream Killer section there over that roller.
And he's through safe. Ludo, high energy, bang, 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 feature, feature, feature off the top. The judges love to see that. All hugs for the French at the bottom. Victor congratulating Ludo. That is a wrap for the snowboard men. Let's see how he can round out the day.
Yeah, let's take a look back, Tom. This top section of the venue, or this is the bottom section, with this backflip. I thought he was going to be over-rotated, but he managed maybe a bit of a butt check there.
Yeah, a bit of an over-rotate to a butt check, but holding on to the bottom. Let's see how that rounds out. It might not be the score he wants with so many clean runs today. You know, control issues speak a lot when there's only a handful throughout the category, and the rest of the riders did do a very clean job, but that's the name of the game.
When it's so tight, all of those little defining factors are going to really come into play. So Ludo Guillot-Diat, I loved it at the top. He stacked up so many features back to back to back to back, really getting that thermometer up, and then backflipping off that lower one, just setting it a little bit too hard, over-rotated slightly, was able to bounce back up. In the initial show of it, he was kind of disappeared in the powder cloud, and we were like, oh yeah, it was clean. But and then the replay, well,
shows more.
Yeah, it shows you everything.
And look at how tight the scores are coming in from the top of that pack, from second all the way down to 6th place. You know, only separated by a point. That's nothing. That's a huge show of riding.
So Ludo with a 66.33, that's going to put him into 10th. So a bit of a disappointing day for Ludo Guillot-Diat, the champ, not having the greatest start to the season so far, but I have a feeling we get onto a big face in Georgia, and we'll see Ludo come back firing. So officially now, as official as it can get from anything you hear from us, Victor De La Rue with another win, 2 first place under his belt, with 2 events in the bag. That is incredibly dominant from this man.
Just a classic showcase of Victor De La Rue riding today and in Verbier. The consistency that he has at that level on all of these different venues too. You know, that's what it takes to be a world champion. You have to showcase great riding on a different set of venues, and Victor doing a great job. That is your snowboard men's podium as we see it. Michael Mon, Victor De La Rue, and Tim Schroeder.
All right, well, here we go. This is what we're seeing right now in the overall FWT rankings. Victor holding on with a stranglehold now, almost 8,000 points ahead of second place. Timmy Schroeder, the rookie now, sitting in second overall. Huge. Michael Mon jumping up from below the cut to into third. So incredible show for those boys, doing exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Ludovic and Cody not getting the scores they wanted today. It's going to come down to the line in Georgia for them.
Yeah. Chicken
All
dinner,
smiles. Showcase the bling, the watch. Great riding, gentlemen.
3 runs in the 80s here from these 3 guys, Michael Mon and Timmy Schroeder, really doing what they needed to do, but neither of them quite able to knock Victor De La Rue off the top.
And look at the overall standings, how it's shaken up. Michael Mon scooting into second place overall.
And this is actually the event standing. So Victor, Michael, and Timmy, that is your podium. Incredible riding from them. Warren Doyle moving himself way up as well. Hugo Serra, all of these guys, really strong performances. As you said, Tom, the points stacked all so close together. We're going to go down to the finish line and catch up with the man himself, Victor De La Rue, laying it down once again here on the T1 South Face. Victor De La Rue backing things up. Incredible riding there. Huge congratulations. Tell us about the top section of that run that was so technical and so solid up there.
Can't hear.
We got a little communication issue here with Victor. All right, we got him now. Victor, run us through the top section of your run. So technical, so solid in there, in a line that nobody else even saw.
Yeah, so I knew the snow conditions were going to be super tricky, like super light snow and super hard bottom. And I just still wanted to do something that where I was attracted. And the only thing that I really wanted to ride was this top section. I really was not sure if it would work or not. And that's where the good snow was, at the very, very top. So I just followed my instinct and forgot about the competition, tried to at least, and it worked, so I'm stoked.
Well, huge congratulations, Victor De La Rue with 2 wins in 2 starts. Unbelievable run and unbelievable statement from Victor De La Rue. He's here to play.
Great riding, Victor. Love to see it.
All right, the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro will be right back after this short break. Welcome back to the Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance. This is stop number 2, the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro. I'm Derek Foose. I'm joined today in the booth by Tom Pfeiffer, Freeride World Tour standout rider over the years, and today, Freeride World Tour co-commentator.
You know, it's good to be on this side of it and watch some incredible riding so far, especially in these tricky conditions for them to navigate, but awesome riding from the snowboard categories today. Some bigger airs than I expected to very clean landings, lots of diverse riding and unique styles today. So I'm super excited to see what the skiers are going to put down because, you know, just because the conditions work out a bit better for snowboarders doesn't mean that it will go for the skiers as well.
All right, let's take a look at where we're sitting in the overall standings. Zuzana Vitek holding it down with that dominant performance in Verbier. Manon Loski, the young rookie, sitting in second with a huge run in the first event. Molly Armanino, Hedvig Vessel with the slow burn. She's just, you know, always looking at the big picture. And then we've got a bunch of young riders that are absolutely solid, so strong. Astrid Chelou, Lily Bradley coming back from injury. Addie Radford always looking for something different, looking for a totally different take on the face. Young Lydia Nelson, we saw her with a great start early on in her run in the first comp, and then unfortunately going down. And then we see Justine Dufour-Lapointe and Taylor Dobbins, both of these riders not able to make it here. So big shout out to both Justine and to Taylor. Hopefully you guys are watching from home. This is what it's going to look like for the ski women coming up next.
Okay, let's see how it opens off. Again, we're moving to Zuzana, opening it off after a big win. So that's going to be challenging, a lot of pressure. And as I said before, you know, dropping first and setting the bar for the rest of your category is a tough position to be in. Followed up by Lily, who's always also looking to do something creative, and a huge sender as well. I'm excited to see how Hedvig, a veteran on the World Tour, incredible riding throughout the years, and we'll see how she manages this today. She's in a great spot to start putting down a big result and get up into the mix.
Yeah, so many good riders. The talent just absolutely stacked. Ski women blowing up season after season. One of the most fun events to watch, or parts of the event to watch. So peak performance, fun bet, fan favorites. These are the percentages of you that think these riders are going to be on the podium. Hedvig Vessel with a strong majority. Everybody knows what she's capable of. Manon Loski, the young rookie, she's gathering a fan base here. We saw her blow it up in Verbier and have no doubt that she's going to be looking for something fascinating and powerful today. And then missed the third one there, but Will.
It was Zuzana, I believe, with another 50 percentile rating, which is huge from the fan base. So let's see what these women are going to throw down today. And, you know, as you mentioned before, my couple seasons on the World Tour, watching the level of riding from the ski women just skyrocket has been insane. So, you know, bigger trick bags, it's going to be an awesome day, I think. You know, lips are starting to be set in. As the venue gets a bit more tracked out, you can start to see the things that work and the things that don't work. So
exactly, and the field is just so stacked. You know, if you want to win here, you know, in the immortal words of Freya Turner, you're gonna have to send it. You got to be on point, and the delicate balance between not enough and too much. We're going to see it. We saw it in the snowboard men. You know, the guys who were on top, and snowboard women as well with Estelle, the ones who are on top went hard. You cannot let your foot off the gas on the Freeride World Tour. And I think, you know, one of the worst feeling things, and you could probably speak to this better than I could, is when you think, okay, I need to put down a safety run, and then you end up 12th because you didn't do enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, again, with the depth of riding and the consistency throughout the category, that is going to be something they're going to have to look out for.
All right. Well, we had a chance to catch up with Zuzana Vitek about mindset and mental preparation here on the Freeride World Tour.
Yeah, like the win in Verbier was really unexpected for me. My mindset was like, there is a huge level this year for sure, and all the girls are super riders. So I wanted really to go big, because I have a huge respect for all the other girls, and yeah, to end up winning was just amazing. But for now, I'm like at zero again, so I take every comp after comp, and I think the objective for every one of us is to win the title. And after the win in Verbier, for sure, I have this in mind even more.
All right, well, a fascinating look there into the headspace of our current rankings leader. Zuza Vitek going absolutely ham in Verbier. Huge airs, perfectly executed. The Scott rider kicking off the ski women's category.
Coming out of start one with some pace. Let's see what she lines up off this bench and this shelf that we've seen utilized throughout the snowboard category. Lining it up, coming off the different direction and stopping it, staying in controlled. A little backseat caught in that snow. Let's see what the judges think. And going off the nose, stomping it again though, making the redemption for that little catch up.
It's so tricky when you get your skis out of the fall line and that crust is underneath. They tend to hook up and spit back up the hill, tiny little high side. So Zuzia Vitek now just trying to salvage the rest of it and doing a great job keeping things pinned in the fall line. Now coming down this section, you could see her almost get caught up in the wall there.
Yeah, the snow, now that it's getting tracked out, is getting quite a bit different and more challenging. Working her way through the bottom, enjoying a bit of pow. But you see, if she digs in too hard, she's hitting that crust, and you can see her skis start to reflect a little bit in different directions. So that's what the skiers are going to really have to watch out for. But keeping it on her feet and putting it down, opening up the ski women. Let's see where the judges are going to place this, but we can see this. We can see the challenges now. She knows.
She knows. Yeah, perfection is going to be what's required here if you want to sit on the top step of the podium. And Zuzana Vitek knows what that feels like just a short 2 weeks ago with perfection. So Tom, take us through the replay here.
Lining it up off the nose, beating your slough and stomping it. Beating your slough is huge. You can see the landing and get your legs down right where you want them. And then boosting that little lip through the middle section. Beautiful turn, beautiful link of features, and finding extra bonus points is huge for your line score in this venue as well. And she did an excellent job of that, coming through the bottom and keeping her pace. And, you know, cycling back, keeping that fall line is going to be a huge, huge factor with the speed. But
all right, well, the Scott rider there in the finish. She's, I think she's calling that a medium on her personal review of the run. We're going to see what the judges had to say about it. Somewhere right around the medium range, I'd say 65 points flat for Zuzia Vitek. She's in a good spot, though, with a win under her belt in the overall situation. Even a medium result here is going to keep her right in the mix for the overall. And some of these riders definitely already looking big picture towards the latter part of the season.
And you saw how easy it was for her to find that crust in the skis to get deflected, and how challenging it is going to be for the rest of the skiers today. And so, you know, a 65 rolling in with that medium score could actually be something super solid at the end of the day. We just don't know what's going to happen.
All right, well, big picture view here of the top of the Terminator face as we catch up with Lily Bradley and see what her thoughts are about today.
My objectives for this season were to not push myself too hard coming back from an injury, feel good in my body, and be proud of myself. I don't feel like I have result objectives, but I would love to land some tricks in a run. I'd love to land a 3 in a run. I'd love to throw a backy in a run. But main objective is just appreciate the experience.
All right, good look into the headspace there. Lily is coming back from a knee injury, tearing the ACL, surgery last winter. So early comeback for them, as right now they're just trying to get back into the mindset and into the physical state of a Freeride World Tour athlete.
And Lily coming out of start 1. Let's see what they line up off the top here. Cutting in early, lining it up, and again, it's Sharky in there. They have to watch out for all of those little things that are being exposed now. Coming into this second cliff band and sending it off and stomping it, holding on. You saw they just almost got a backslap, but held on. Super strong legs and boosting that nose. Shifty, keeping the energy high, working her way into the tree section.
Yeah, no real indication on this run of a sore knee from Lily Bradley as they're roasting through this lower section. And a Daffy, Lily Bradley, that's like a glimpse of the personality and a spread eagle, bringing the Tahoe vibes to Freeride. Lily Bradley sending this run, and I think they're going to be really happy. Just top to bottom, another one. Oh, Lily Bradley has got us just grinning in the booth here. Top to bottom, just powerhouse riding for the Tahoe rider.
And that's a showcase of the energy that they have, you know? The splaffies, the spread eagles, just going back to the roots of fun, good skiing. I love that.
All right, Tom. Well, as we go back up to the top, Lily off this one, clean landing, solid. As you said, going deep into the suspension, but no issue landing it as they roasted off that one too. This is a strong statement from Lily Bradley that the knee is looking and feeling all right.
Yeah, that's a good sight to see, especially on the crust and making quick work of the venue. There's the Daffy having fun with it. You love to see that as a skier, staying true to the originalities of the sport and the retro days. And a great fall line too.
Yeah, Lily absolutely always one of the best energies on the tour, always bringing the stoke. As we see the score sliding in a 74, so Lily Bradley going to be taking over the hot seat from Zuzia Vitek with that clean run and a strong statement that the recovery is going well for them and they are back to play.
Love to see it. Great line. Putting down a solid run to set an example for the rest of the ski women today. Let's see what gets brought on next.
Well, loving the energy. Ski women kicking things off with a bang. Back up to the top. You can see just the knife ridge up there as we move to our next rider. This is Lydia Nelson. Lydia, 19 years old. She was a junior last year, transitioned immediately after Junior Worlds into the qualifiers, and then found herself winning on the Challengers. Boom, boom, boom. And she went from juniors to Freeride World Tour just like that. Lydia Nelson riding out of Glacier, Washington. And on course now here at Kicking Horse.
Out of start one again, working onto this bench that provides so many different options for their line. Lydia going all the way through. Is she going to go to that section that Tim went and opened up a fresh POW line?
Yeah, way over here to the rider's left for Lydia Nelson. Only a couple of tracks as she comes back to a big dog, making sure she's lined up on the right spot as this one's got some kick to it. And Lydia flying off the step and clean.
Super creative, quick footwork feature. I love to see that, keeping it technical, but keeping it smooth and consistent and fast. Coming back across the venue and boosting that nose, stomping, making quick work of it, coming into the tree section, enjoying some fresh snow as she comes down.
A real creative link up there for Lydia Nelson as she is now motoring her way through this lower section. This is where those tracks have exposed the crust, so we'll see how Lydia is able to navigate this as she gets herself onto the top of this nose, sending it into the gully and holding on now. She stays in the fall line.
Coming out with some speed into the Dream Breaker zone. Let's see if she'll hold on through this wind crust. We have one last feature, sending the wind lip, getting some good absorption on it, not getting too bucked on it. That's a big thing. And coming through with a clean run.
Yeah, that was veteran riding from the young American athlete, showing, as you said, Tom, absorbing the wind lip a little bit so as not to get bucked in the crust, because that definitely can, especially I think maybe even more so for the skiers than we saw with the snowboarders, as we take a look back at the top section of Lydia's run.
Look at that footwork into that little gully and off the nose. You have to be so dialed with your trajectory, and then right off that second tree bush lip. Coming down across now, keeping it moving as she traversed back into a feature is so important for fluidity and skiers, but we saw the video judge docking it down a little bit, and that might just be for the out and back that we saw. But overall, clean riding from Lydia.
Yeah, linking up two very, very kind of separate sections of the venue. But in the fluidity category for the judges, if you're moving towards something, they're not going to knock you too hard for going across the venue. As we see here, the score coming in for Lydia Nelson, sliding into third with a 56.00. So Lily Bradley fending off her young American compatriot, and Lily going to be holding on in the Dina Star hot seat there.
All hugs and all friendship at the end of the day when they get down. So much support throughout the freeride community and the rider start list. I love to see that. That's something that's always been consistent, and it's grown in current and past years.
Yeah,
so.
Big time family affair. As we zoom back in onto the start gate, this is one to watch. She is the boss, the Freeride World Tour veteran, sitting in 6th so far. That is incorrect. Hedvig is actually sitting in 4th overall. And the peak performance rider looking to make a big splash. She's always kind of chatting about the balance for her between consistency and just show-stopping magic. And Hedvig getting way out there over the exposure to start her run.
Into that super technical entrance and off the nose, into that doublet. We saw Victor going, stomping it, just avoiding the rocks. Oh my gosh. Sending it from Hedvig, holding on as she's shutting down her speed, coming into the tree section. Firecracker start to the run, classic Hedvig Wessel style. Keeping it low and fast through that. I love to see it, that smart veteran riding that I know Hedvig does.
And Hedvig is so strong, this crust having no effect on her, directly off the nose. Huge stomp there for Wessel as she has made short work of this Kicking Horse venue. That is a statement from Hedvig Wessel as she flies through the finish. A massive run from the Norwegian rider. bringing the fans to their feet.
Was insane. That top air, we're going to look at that replay, but I think she came so close to that rock, and that is huge getting those trajectories right, just sending it.
Well, Tom, let's take a look back. The start of this run, absolutely firing off that.
Boom, stomping it, and coming out with speed and holding on. Great technique, great strength.
Yeah, she definitely had a moment there in the powder cloud. You can see one ski kind of kick out, and then this lower one, again, wrapping the turn straight off the nose, waiting patiently in the fault line for balance before she starts the next turn. Every single bit of that run just screams veteran performance. That was such a solid run there for Wessel.
Absolutely.
That was a firm landing. I was hoping for more, but...
Yeah, that is a firm crest. You hear it from her, the veteran herself.
Oh my God.
Well, you can see Lily Bradley looking over at Hedvig, somewhat in awe. It's one of the coolest parts here of the Freeride World Tour is these riders getting to ride with their heroes. 80.67 for the peak performance athlete as she puts herself on the top of the pile so far. Hedvig Wessel with a strong statement. After Verbier, we had a good chat, and she was like, I don't know if I really did enough. You know, and especially with both Manon and Zuza going absolutely buck wild on that Verbier face. So she's come back swinging with a huge performance here at Kicking Horse and a big statement to the rest of the ski women's field.
Absolutely. And I love to see that, just getting it perfectly dialed, knowing which feature is right within her range in this snow quality and making quick work of the venue back up to the start gate.
Yeah, we take no breaks here at the Freeride World Tour. Astrid Shea-Loos riding out of that powerhouse Les Arcs Freeride team. Astrid, 20 years old. She's a former Freeride World Tour, Freeride World Junior champion as well. We got a handful of them in the field here. Astrid now on course and looking to back things up and see if she can have a reply to what we just saw from Hedvig.
Taking it right fall line out of start one, making quick work through that technical section and carrying her speed beautifully into this next cliff band. Astrid is an absolute sender, taking it off this nose to a bit of a back slap. You saw she found that crust but bounced up, holding on.
Fighting for balance there. Athletic moves from Astrid Shea-Loos, finding another feature here, going across the gully, trying to manage the speed here as best she can, stacking features.
Yeah, absolutely. As it's getting skied out, it's getting a lot faster through that middle section. I think it's taking them a bit by surprise, making quick work of it though, staying in control, staying on her feet, not letting it get the back of her.
Come on! Astrid Shea-Loos with a backflip off the windlip at the bottom.
Talk about bonus points, talk about risking it, and that is okay to dive on the ground there in celebration. What a gamble, and she stomped it off that lip with the backflip.
Well, the contrast in that run, a huge air at the top with the big backslap we're going to see in the replay, and then the first rider of the day to really dig into that bottom windlip feature.
Making quick work and just knows exactly where she needs to go through there, navigating the rocks. And I think she kind of landed on a tree mogul thing, which kicked her back right away, but she popped off and stayed fall line on her feet and just laying out that backflip 2 bolts.
Yeah, and Tom, on the replay, the backslap didn't look as bad as it did in real life. Definitely the butt down. You know, the judges look at multiple stages of backslap. Stage 1, your butt touches. Stage 2, it's your backpack on the ground. Stage 3, your head's dragging in the snow. So probably, of course, we're not judges, but probably closer to a stage 1 on that.
Yeah.
But on a huge air onto hard snow, and then the backflip at the bottom. Hedvig's going to be nervous now because that was a really, really solid one for Astrid Shea-Loos, the French rider. You know, we saw her kind of on a slightly mellower grade earlier in Verbier. Now what are we going to see? 86.67 for Astrid Shea-Loos, a short stint in the hot seat for Hedvig, and Astrid having her way with the venue today. Huge hugs for these women.
That backy paid off. Huge, huge risk. I love to see it. The trick bag is deep across the category, so that's going to be super inspiring for the rest of the women. Super solid riding from Astrid, making her way down that whole venue flawlessly. And they didn't dock that backslap. You were right. It's about a stage 1 or stage 2. So.
Yeah, so probably would have seen that score jump up into the 90s if she hadn't had that little issue.
Yeah.
But the rest of the run just holding up, all categories lit up. And Astrid Chalus, after a bit of a tough one in Verbier with tough. She was 5th. So, but we've seen Astrid come to be very comfortable at the top of the rankings, and she's done her part now as we head straight back up to the top. Molly Armanino shouting out to the mule there, to the homies back in Tahoe. Molly Armanino, always exciting. Ski women fireworks as expected, and this is one to watch, as you will probably, if you blink, you'll miss this run. Molly Armanino always pinned, always finding creative and unbelievably technical ways through the mountain. So I have a feeling we're going to see the same here from Molly as she gets things started.
American powerhouse coming out of the start gate, number 1 into this top section. Let's see what she has lined up again. Coming down to this cliff band, working her way through it flawlessly, navigating it, getting through those rocks. The rocks here are super grabby. You touch one, you could lose a ski. Sending it off the nose, and just shorting that slough cone transition, and you saw she got put back seat. That crust forced her into a bit of a high side, and she unfortunately went around. Sending that bottom nose, though, still having fun with it, making her way down. You can still salvage points, as we said, so she's going to do her best to do that. Coming into this bottom tree cliff feature, and all the way riders right into a bit of pow, having some fun with it.
Well, as we have come to expect from Molly Armanino, going absolutely huge right off the top ropes on that upper cliff. Unfortunately, not quite able to hold on. It is a bit, Molly catching a tip on a tree. The tripwire effect there, taking down Molly Armanino.
And that is the difficult part, giving us the wave. She is all good. Catching a tree is scary for skiers. Legs can go in different ways and twist, but that's the challenge at the bottom. And a 360, a little bit of a hit tuck, having fun with it. It's still all about fun for the riders. And we saw it, the 2 different challenges to the venue unfortunately took Molly down today. The crust off that top big cliff and the trees through the bottom. Hugs from her American counterpart, Lily. It's all support. We're glad to see smiles and that Molly is okay.
Yeah, and for Molly, she'll be able to shake this one off. She's got a podium finish already in the first event of the season in Verbier. So as we look back at Molly Armanino's run, really technical at the start, and then she was lining this one up. You kind of thought she might go into the gully, and then we saw that track, boom, and unfortunately, just not quite able to hold on.
Yeah, and as in those tight chutes, the slough cones provide transition, and she just didn't quite make it, but holding on through that nose, still showcasing how solid the riders, and there's that tree right
just
underneath.
Grabbed her ski.
You can do nothing about that. It's going to take you down, unfortunately. And that's what a lot of the riders have been nervous for in this bottom section. If you do that with some speed, it could be a very tough day. And back up.
Yeah, we're on a slightly low tide year at Kicking Horse with overall snowfall. So a few more trees that are out of the snow and in play, especially on the lower half of this T1 South venue. And so one of those, unfortunately, taking Molly down. But the Scott rider still all smiles as she's just trying to figure out where to go.
Wants to go say hi to the friends and get hug and support. Getting an 18.33, not the score Molly's going to want with the 2 crashes, unfortunately. But as you said, Derek, she has a great standing result from Verbier. This is definitely going to be one she can wash under the bridge.
Yeah, for sure. The crowd gathering here, braving the cold weather. They've got a nice bit of sun to stand in here to watch the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro go down here on the T1 South face. We are back to the top. This rider coming out of Chamonix. Megan Baton with a big win here at Kicking Horse last year. She had a couple tough ones and then just climbed out of the hole by dominating the field at Kicking Horse. So she's comfortable on this face. She is comfortable in the big mountains. She's just such a strong skier. She's a ski instructor back in Chamonix, so the technique is absolutely dialed. And that's what's going to be really important with the challenging snow conditions. If you can load up that downhill ski and stay balanced, then you're going to find success in these conditions.
And she's sitting overall just under the cut, so we're going to see what she's going to have to put down. Coming out of start 1, Megan working that bench, coming out with some pace. Let's see, setting up high early on through it into this technical section. working her way, getting over those sharks and through clean. Coming into this bottom cliff band, making quick work of the top. Let's see what she's going to line up here off this bottom nose.
Yeah, there's been a few riders that have taken a chunk out of this one. Megan Baton solid there. Every single squat and lunge she did all summer paid off dividends right there. And another big one. So Megan Baton, oh no!
Unfortunately getting grabbed by some tracks in the chewed up snow, maybe a bit of a tree or a rock there. You know, it's still a roll of the dice there, just ripping her leg back. You can do nothing about that as a skier. That is so hard to deal with. She was doing everything flawlessly up until then too.
And you can see just devastated there as almost a carbon copy of the way she went down in Verbier, with one ski just getting pulled out from under her, and unfortunately it just stole it away. And Megan Baton finding herself now without a ski, waiting for a ski runner to come from the top to collect the equipment. That is heartbreaking for the French rider, as she was on point up to that stage.
Nothing but my heart for you, Megan. I have experienced that, and you know, as a rider, as a skier, there's nothing you can do when your ski gets taken off your foot like that. Unfortunately, that is I believe it's a no score too, right? If you lose a ski, so tough showing, especially after showcasing some top tier riding through that top section of the venue too. And you saw how strong she was off those cliffs too, to bolts. You know, she really did have it dialed, and that's going to be a tough day for Megan, but that's the challenges that the skiers and the freeriders do face on all these different venues. And you know, sometimes it's a bad decision they made, and sometimes it's bad luck, and that one's just bad luck.
Yeah, 100% bad luck. So you can see Astrid sitting there in the hot seat here, watching her, you know, her countrymate with such a solid performance. Oh, it looks like Megan's just taking things into her own hands, going to go up and retrieve that ski. You can see this is actually a really good picture of how firm that snow is under the powder. You know, in the fresh snow, it's all right, but right underneath it is that melt freeze crust that we had from the warming event a couple of weeks ago. So Megan's got her ski. Physically okay, but emotionally that's going to be a tough one to swallow.
Yeah, and especially she was just under that cut line result with 9th in Verbier. This isn't what she needed today, so it's going to come down to the line in Georgia for Megan. And, you know, she's going to be welcomed with hugs and lots of love down at the bottom because, as we've mentioned before, that's just bad luck, and you hate to see that happen to such a skilled rider.
Yeah, and Megan now going to be finding herself in the exact same position that she was in last season with 2 bad ones. So, you know, the good thing, I guess, for her from a psychological standpoint is she's traveled this road already. She did the exact same thing last year. She had a couple really rough ones and then a win. So she'll be coming into the next stop at the Georgia Pro hungry and looking to just go all in for that one and do exactly what she did last season to put herself across the cut line and into finals, as Megan now is just going to make her way down the face, get off the venue, and get some consolation from her fellow riders.
And working her way through the chute, just getting down, you know, this is where you just step to the side, having fun off a little nub at the bottom, staying on her feet, working the powder. You know, there's still fresh snow, so of course any rider is going to ski it and have some fun with it at the bottom. But give it up for Megan. That is just a hard day in the office.
Yeah, and the crowd giving her lots of love as she comes across the line. Oh, almost getting taken out again as she gets a big hug from Astrid Chelus, your current leader here in the ski women's category. Just over halfway through, Megan Baton with a no score, so that's a heartbreaker for her.
Yeah. And, you know, as she goes back to Georgia, maybe in a bit bigger terrain, she is from Chamonix, so that could be super advantageous for her as well.
For sure. The big peaks, yeah, that's definitely where she finds herself most at home. So, yeah, a hug, a bit of consolation from Astrid as they catch up. And Megan now, Dynastar rider, going to just move herself off the stage here.
Chats, hugs, catching up. Now it's time to relax, but...
All right, well, we are going to go back to the top. Our next rider blowing our minds in their debut on the Freeride World Tour, the peak performance rider, Manon Lowski. We got to check in with her on the kind of mindset it takes to succeed at this level.
My mindset for this competition is to have fun, enjoy, try to do some cool lines that inspires me, and yeah, just have fun and see how it goes. I looked at the face today and he looked really playful, a lot of wind lips and cool and fun terrain, so I don't know.
Well, we have been anxiously awaiting the debut of Manon Loeschke on the Freeride World Tour. She lost last season due to an ankle injury, and then she came back this year and showed us all exactly why she got herself that Red Bull helmet. The Peak Performance rider started her season off with a bang in the hot seat for a long time until Zuza came on, and now Manon on course, ready to show us what she's got.
Out of start one again. It's a popular one today for the ski women category, making her way through this tricky, sharky technical section, lining up that exit, getting through it clean. That's super huge. That's stage one done through the venue. Coming into this cliff band, let's see what Manon's going to line up, because she can absolutely send it and stomp, as we've seen in Verbier, right off the nose. And to bolts, nothing is going to move her. She is such a solid rider. Coming into this nose, and a huge 360, a little butt check, but staying in control. Let's see, the judges are gonna see it, but it was a small one, and she's right back on her feet moving through the venue.
Yeah, small control issue on a big move, as Manon Loeschke showing not only the freeride skills, but also the freestyle bag of tricks that she has under her belt, making her way now down. There's a lot of complicated terrain underneath here. Manon now popping off that bottom section, and she's going to come out into the apron. So Manon Loeschke, I wonder if she, her and Astrid spend a lot of time together. Is she going to line up a big one off this wind lip as well?
Let's see, let's watch. Huge backy, and just pulling it around to bolts, stomping it for Manon, finishing the runoff with a bang. Look at how stoked she is. She knows what she just put down. That is going to be a run contending for the top spot. Such a high level of riding from Manon.
Well, these two are best buds. They spend so much time skiing together, and they are just so fired up for each other. The two of them scoped that thing together, and
Absolutely.
we're like, should we flip it? Yes, we should definitely flip it.
They both stomped it, and that's what you love to see. It's an individual sport in the start gate, but you still have your friends and your teammates around you that can help you pull off that stuff. Making quick work, showing her technical ability, her strength off this cliff to bolt. A huge 3, showcasing her trick bag. And it was tiny. It was just a little hand drag, not even a butt check. And the judges recognize how hard this condition is. So I think she's going to be very happy at the
And
end
it
of the
almost
day.
looked in this lower section, from nearly halfway down the venue, that she was just focused on this. You could see her laser focused, the turns, maybe a few more turns than some of the other riders that have bombed through there. And that's because she had her sights set on that windlet for the backflip. So these two women showing the freestyle element in the ski women's category, absolutely going off. And these two at the pointy end of the spear of this movement.
This is insane to watch. Such a good showcase and high level of riding today, putting the judges to work. So let's see what they're going to come out with. 2 huge clean backflips from the friends. There's definitely some room in that overall score too for the rest of the riders. It's not super stacked up at the top, so let's see where Manon ends up patiently waiting with her friend Astrid.
And we'll see, Astrid's so solid. Hedvig with that gigantic air at the top. 84 for Manon Loeschke, so edging Hedvig Vessel out of second and showing exactly what the judges want to see out here from the ski women. A couple big airs, the very technical section at the top, a 360 and a backflip in a run. Manon Loeschke, solid run, not quite able to bump her friend off the top, but a huge statement from Manon.
Yeah, absolutely. Making that top 3 now very tight, though, with the 84 and an 86, I believe. So we're going to see what's going to get shaken down at the rest of the ski women category, but putting the bar in a very high position for the rest of the women.
Oh yeah, so we're going back up to the top. This is start 2B. We've got a little bit of an intermediate spot that the riders were allowed to choose from in between the two. And we were talking about the freestyle movement. Here's another one. Addie Rafford, a huge contender always. She's been touring her movie around and just cruising with her friends and on course now.
So coming out of a very high start, they have kind of this option of start 2B, working their way through that shelf, making quick work of those technical rocks and section coming into the POW. Lining up this cliff that we saw from Hugo, getting it lined up and taking it to bolts. Such strong skiing from Addison. Coming into a fresh takeoff and landing and
Addie getting balked there.
Just quite getting eaten by that crust. You can see when you land a little bit cross court, your legs are on a bit different of a elevation, and so you really have to be sure of where you're going to land. And unfortunately taking her down a bit of a high side, She's collecting her thoughts for a second. Both
I think
skis
she's
are still on.
just missing her pole there, just uphill of her for Addie Rafford. As you said, Tom, exactly that. Out of the fall line, especially when the snow is hard, it adds, you know, almost like an exponential element of G-force when you land, and Addie just getting squashed by that one.
And you can see in her bomb hole above her, she actually lands, and then there's this big, deep patch of snow. So I think it went from quite firm to quite deep and soft, and it, you know, being on that offset angle out of the fall line, it can catch you really quick.
Yeah,
and that's just the variable conditions out here today, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Addie Rafford with a really, really strong start to that run. I loved her approach at the top. 2 airs, one of them with 1 bomb hole and the other one with no bomb hole. So even this late in the game, still finding a fresh take on the face, but unfortunately going down. So Addie Rafford, it's not a no score. Both skis stayed on, so she might be able to salvage a little bit of something. But that is going to wrap it up for hers, for her contention, at least for the for the podium right now. So with only 1 rider to go, we're going to see both the French riders on the podium for sure. Sybille Blanchon, the only one who can have a say. Is Hedvig Wessel going to be able to hold on to that podium spot? We will see.
And I was so excited to see what Addie would have in store. She's such a creative rider with her lines and the feature she chooses. And again, you know, with variable conditions, it can just be bad luck. And again, we just saw another great example of a great rider being taken down by tough conditions.
And Addie has really been kind of taken into the crew by the French homies, both Astrid and Manon. They've been all riding together with Addie and her brother and Max Palm. All right, Tom, have a look at this replay.
Pouring the slough over the cliff, just such high energy, making quick work of the technical section up top. And coming into this top cliff that we only saw Hugo Serra hit and just stomping it. You see how in control she is, making that turn onto her next feature. And right there, it's the deep snow. It's the hard to deep snow that kind of pulled her off and high-sided her a bit.
Yeah, the combo of the snow and a little bit too much turn uphill. You know, the commandments of free ride, land, balance, then turn, and that turn coming just a touch early for Addie. So you can see she's bummed to see the way that went down. 33.67. Addie's going to make her way off, which is, another disappointment. This is the glory and the heartbreak of competitive freeride. You've got your friend sitting on the top in the Dina Star hot seat, and you've just had your chance and unfortunately had it not quite work out. So disappointing, but we are straight back up. We do have one more contender for the throne here, Sybille Blanchon. She is riding out of Verbier. She is such a talented rider, so strong, so clean, one of the strongest techniques in the game. She's got a win in Verbier under her belt, you know, so you know she can get it done, and firm snow is no problem for Sybille. Right now she's sitting in 6th overall. She's going to be wanting to move up, and you know, today if you want to sit on the podium, you're going to have to execute some fireworks, and Sybille certainly capable of that.
Absolutely, coming out of start 1 onto the shelf, taking a really early entrance into this cliffy, rocky technical section from the Swiss rider, and finding power, and it looks like she got caught up on rocks right into it, the fresh landing you can't see, and rolls off right into the chute on her feet, right in her face, but staying in control through it, and off that lip. I think that whole top section will be a bit of a surprise for her still, that she's still skiing down the venue right now, collected and in one piece.
Yeah, hardly even a Doppler fluidity there. She just took a roll, and then her skis were pointed straight off the lip, so she went for it. Sybille Blanchon now trying to salvage something on the bottom half of this T1 South venue, making her way through this section, getting tougher and tougher the more it gets skied, and this nose now popping off that into the fall line, and Sybille Blanchon now onto the apron, pinned here, full throttle for the bottom section for the Swiss rider. She comes across that sunshade line and zooming into the finish area.
Absolutely. You know, big dock on control, but as we mentioned, she just took it down. The rocks, I think, got her there. You know, that top section is so bony. The snow here in Kicking Horse is quite dry, so it doesn't settle onto rocks, so you have to be so careful around it. Let's see here. Yeah, you can see the way that her ankle and ski collapsed. That is absolutely a rock getting the best of her feet, but tumbling and straight through into the chute like it was nothing.
Yeah, high line score there for Sybille. She bit off a big chunk of this venue, and it's one of the hardest parts about visual inspection. You look from the ridge, you look from across the valley, it looks like powder, and you don't even know until you've landed that was 2 centimeters of powder sitting on top of a rock.
And I'm glad, I really hope, you know, landing on a rock can be a season ender for a tib, fib, an ankle, a hip. She's standing there. Let's see. Hopefully she's not in too much pain or no injuries, but disappointing to say the least. That's
so that's going to be a 7th there for Sybille Blangeon with a 40.67 as she goes over to congratulate and console with Astrid Chelus. Unfortunate end of the day for Sybille Blangeon as she's going to make her way off. Looks like she's moving a little gingerly. Hopefully she's all right, as that definitely was a big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a bit of a limp there. You know, it's such a surprise. You're so ready to land in a 4-point landing with all your strength. And if you hit a rock, it can be scary. But such a high show of riding today. Astrid Chelus taking it home with a beautiful showcase of free ride skiing for the women, followed up by a powerhouse run from Manon and Hedvig, the veteran. Lily sneaking into 4th. And, you know, as we saw, we moved down the rest of the field, some incredible riders. Sybille, we're looking at Molly, Megan, just unfortunately getting the conditions getting the best of them, and some bad luck, really.
Yeah, such a great showcase there, the combination of free ride and freestyle from these women. So Astrid Chelus locking down the win. Manon Loski with another 2nd place. Incredible start to the season for the rookie. And Hedvig Wessel doing what she does, climbing up the rankings with a very solid performance here at Kicking Horse. And this is what things look like now in the overall. Manon Loski taking over the leader's bib with 2 podium performances. Astrid Chelus has jumped way up into 2nd overall. Zuzia Vitek down into 3rd.
It's actually a tie for 2nd place. Look at that. That's going to be so interesting coming into Georgia and for the rest of the overall results.
Unbelievable. The ski women action heating up here, and Kicking Horse delivering as it always does. Magic in the ski women's category. So we're going to go down to our ski women's champion at Kicking Horse, Astrid Chelus, combining free ride and freestyle in that. Give us a little look into what went into selecting that line and how you executed it.
I didn't really do the line when I planned. I was a bit surprised by the snow. So at the end, I know that there is this little leap, and I was like, okay, I have one thing to do, so let's go. And yeah, that's fun.
That's awesome to see. And, you know, the snow conditions are challenging. How did you feel throughout the full, like from top to the bottom of the run? Was it what you expected, that hard crust underneath?
I was thinking that the snow was like more hard, but finally it was really nice, and yeah, good snow.
Well, congratulations, Astrid. That was so amazing to see. Such an incredible run.
Thank you so much.
Unbelievable show from the ski women, as we have come to expect. Astrid Chelus putting a stamp on it and earning herself a gold medal. The Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance will be right back after this short break.
How's it going? My name is Jay. I'm getting ready to go 4-run today. We're gonna go check out the venue, see how we get there.
Carry you as a skidoo to bring you to the boot packing of T1.
Okay. Dude, it's a mix of emotions right now. I'm definitely a little bit nervous to kind of ride. I think getting the chair up there, we got a pretty good plan for it. Gonna hike it a little ways. I got some guys gonna help me carry it. Yeah, I think we'll make it up. It's quite the hike. Yeah, this is the point in time where the heart starts going. Let's go, baby.
2, 1, dropping.
It's nice on top, just float, baby.
Welcome back to the Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance. It is stop number 2 in the 2024 season. We are at the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro. My name is Derek Foose. I'm joined in the booth today by a special guest, Tom Pfeiffer, Freeride World Tour standout himself. And now here to give us all the insights. We have had fireworks so far in the first 3 categories, Tom. Unbelievable show here at Kicking Horse.
Absolute showcase top tier riding from the snowboard women, men, and the ski women so far.
So this is what the overall standings look like currently. Max Hitzig taking the win there in Verbier with just a classic Hitzig performance. Solid, never put a foot out of shape. Finn Billis really kind of showing his capability of learning, and Christopher Turdell back from what he said. He's like, oh, I remember when I was good. Well, he is still good, and now he is sitting in the top overall. As we move down through the rankings, we've got some big names a little bit lower than we're getting used to seeing them. Andrew Pollard down there in 10th. It's out of 22 though, so he's still sitting on the good side of the cut is A-Paul. And then as we move through, we saw a ton of riders go down at Verbier Pro, or at the Verbier Pro. So a lot of the people on this part of the rankings are going to be looking for a big day today.
And they're absolute heavy hitters. Max Palm, Marcus Gogan, Wei Tian Ho, Oscar Mangan. Almost everyone on the backside of that cut has it in them to take a #1 spot today. It's anyone's game, and this is what I'm excited for. You know, the depth of talent from 1st to 22nd right now, I would essentially treat it as 0-0. It's anyone's game rolling into this.
Absolutely. Every single one of these riders completely capable of delivering a win. We're going to find out as we make our way through the category, whose day is it? Who's made the smart choices? Who has picked a line that rides to the conditions and then are able to execute it on the day? We see the 2022 world champ there, Maxime Chablot, up there at the start gate. These nervous moments for the riders up at the top.
Absolutely. And, you know, we're looking at Stan Ray is going to be the event wild card, a Canadian from Whistler Blackcomb, followed up by Jackson Bathgate, the other Canadian on tour. His brother Cooper Bathgate spent 2 years on the World Tour alongside myself. We all grew up together, and then some huge heavy hitters right off. Blake Marshall is going to be looking for a big score today, as well as Kendall Goodman. And then we have Christopher Turdell, a veteran right in the middle of the pack. It's going to be beneficial for him to watch some riders. So Max Hitzig, the current leader, going to be dropping in the middle. He's going to get to see a lot of solid riding and put it down for himself. And then, you know, everybody on the back end of that is just, it's going to be an incredible day.
Yeah, there's not a single name on there.
No, I'm looking through it right now.
That can't win today if they put it together.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it might be advantageous to be at the back now with some tracks going through the venue already and seeing how tracked out it's going to get.
A-Paul was stoked to draw the last drop. He was really happy about that. He said he can gather a ton of information and then it'll help him make his decisions for his run. As we take a look here at the Peak Performance Fun Bet fan favorites, we've got Max Palm with 53% of you, Max Hitzig with 52% of you, and Marcus Gogan making the cut here with 30% of you, thinking that these riders are going to land on the podium today. Peak Performance Fun Bet fan favorites. It's your chance to play fantasy free ride and get involved in the game. You know, there's probably some beers on the line out there in free ride world. So these are the three that you guys think are going to be on the podium in some way, shape, or form. And of course, they would love to be as well. As we head up to the top, this is so exciting. You know, Stan Ray, the wild card, we got a chance to catch up with him and ask him what it feels like to be in the mix here.
It feels amazing getting the wild card for the Kicking Horse Pro event. My thought behind it was I'm not getting any younger, and I might as well ask, what's the worst that can happen? I've always wanted to compete in free ride. It's really cool to be able to compete here in Canada. And there's also 3 other guys from Whistler, so they're a bit younger than me, but I got to watch them grow up and hone their skills. And those guys, all 3 of those guys are like super talented and amazing skiers. They're all better than me, but I'm going to try my best and see if I can keep up to those guys.
Well, Stan Ray, growing up in Whistler, he was on the Canadian ski cross team. He was an X Games rider. He's been, I mean, a standout in the ski movie scene for years. Stan Ray just delivering some of the most action-packed performances we've seen on movie screens across the board. So excited. He wanted to give a big shout-out to his wife, Olympic gold and silver medalist Kelsey. These guys are just, you know, the super power couple of the ski world. And Stan Ray, for the first time ever, taking the start in a free ride world tour event. Stan Ray at Kicking Horse.
Opening it up for the ski men, coming out with energy and speed. He's always stoked. It's representative of his riding. Making quick work of that top technical section, getting a nice safety grab in, working his way around it, holding his speed into this lip. Huge air, getting a little bucked in the air, but holding on that hard crust, stomping it. High speed, high energy. And a big 3 from Stan, holding on, landing it. This is exactly what I expected from him.
Oh, let's go, Stan. Full throttle, and he's going into this far, far skiers left area. We haven't seen anybody over here yet. We saw Camille Armand pioneer this zone a couple of years ago, and Stan now on top of this buttress, catching the lily pad, landing.
Oh my
Stan
gosh.
Ray.
A huge tomahawk punch front. Look at those tracks. Let's hopefully we see a head tap here. That was a big, big impact. There's the wave and the head tap. I'm glad you're okay, Stan. Sending a huge air out of the bottom. I knew he was going to take a bit of a gamble on a run today. He didn't want to just take it too conservative to showcase that, you know, he is a powerhouse, legendary free rider.
Well, he certainly is, and the top half of that run was incredible. So fast, so technical, and then Stan Ray getting on top of that gigantic building-sized buttress of rock, and the lily pad move to get into it means you can't slow down off the lip.
No.
All the speed comes in that landing, just not playing ball with Stan.
And you have to be so committed at that point. You're in. Look at that, the fans, the Pit Viper guys. Oh.
Stop kicking horses. I'm a huge advocate of homemade fan signs, and the Pit Viper crew out here just keeping the good times rolling.
Absolutely. And, you know, I do want to say one thing. Back in 2022, when we ran the venue for the Freeride World Tour here, it was the last year I had the chance to ride it, we saw a lot of the ski men working across from that rider's right to rider's left, offering those multiple lips in a row to link up features. It looks like he's going to make it down a ski. Losing a ski again, it's all good laughs. You know, skiing on one ski's very challenging, so.
Yeah, I mean, Stan Ray wanted to show up and put on a show here for the crowd, for the fans at home, and he certainly did that, going absolutely buck wild in classic Stan Ray style. There is no half speed for this guy, and he really showed it there. You know, this is going to be interesting because we're going to see if the big sends are actually going to work in these snow conditions. Didn't work out for Stan.
No. But we saw some of it work out in the snowboard men category, ski women, and snowboard women category. It is possible. You just have to find those right angles and the right transition landings. So that's going to be huge. And, you know, he did take an air all the way at the bottom where deeper snow could have accumulated that's not as wind affected or moved around. So that also could have taken him by surprise. But we'll have to see what the replay says, if it was a crust underneath issue or a true good fashion ankle grabbing deep snow problem.
Well, the local Canadian crowd here going absolutely wild for Stan as he comes into the finish. Tom, take us through this run.
coming in high energy off the top, setting up for this lip, keeping it nice and smooth, a little buck, that's that hard snow, but landing so solid. That's the strength and balance that Stan has. And then coming in to this 360 fresh lip and holding it together, a little bucked off by that lip, but here we go, off the lily pad, gets the grab and punched right down through the snow. That's a big cliff to do in these conditions, and you know, that's the gamble that you're gonna take, but
the second his skis touched the ground, they were off. That's such a heavy impact. As we see the crowd filling in here at Kicking Horse, as we get a bigger sun patch, we get more people out that are willing to brave the cold. So that's a no score for Stan Ray.
But it was awesome to see his showcase classic riding through the top of the venue.
All right, we are going back up to the top. Ski Men underway. If you're just joining us, we saw our wild card Stan Ray operating truly in a wild card fashion, going absolutely ape on the whole venue, really. Full throttle at the top and then full send at the bottom as we slowly zoom in. Back up to the top, Whistler Free Ride Club alum, 2016 Junior World Champion, Jackson Bathgate, as you said, Tom. Twins of Cooper Bathgate. You and Liam Pfeiffer, as well as Cooper and Jackson, the multi-sets of twins growing up in the Whistler Free Ride Club. And Jackson Bathgate on course here at Kicking Horse.
Start one. He said he wasn't too nervous about the hard snow as he's grown up riding on this through qualifiers and did that last year. Quick work through that top technical section, just holding on, getting a little drawn to the high side. Coming in off of huge cliff, huge nose. Let's see if he can hold it together. And just getting taken down, but you know, that's the crust. He stayed on his feet moving forward off another huge cliff to the parking lot and bolts Jackson Bathgate. The three biggest cliffs on the venue, right off the nose of them, making quick work of this bottom section. He just wants to get out of it now.
Yeah, punching into that wind drift there. Jackson Bathgate with three huge airs at the top of his run, and now just pinned down through the sunshine as he kind of comes into this wind-affected section and crossing the line at full speed for Jacko. So, you know, he's definitely a bit of a victim of that hard snow, but not even making a slight concession in line for the size of those airs.
Absolutely, and the judges are going to recognize that. The size of the air onto that snow quality underneath is such a gamble. And you see there, yeah, a little drawn onto his shoulder, but that is a symptom of the crust. And then lining up this parking lot flat, huge cliff, and making it look like nothing. Jackson Bathgate's such a solid rider. Growing up with him,
that was perfect. And this cross-court transfer, again, catching the transition absolutely perfectly. He kind of plugged into the wall here, but managed to make it work and actually even added a little feature there.
Yeah.
It's a solid run there from Jackson Bathgate, top to bottom. Ski Men starting off with a bang.
Yeah. Showing everyone else at the start that it is possible to take the biggest cliffs to the landing, to the flat part.
Score coming in for Jacko with a 72 flat, so he's going to take over the Dynastar hot seat there. The Whistler rider putting a stamp on things and showing exactly what's possible on this venue, as we saw Stan Ray showing what's not quite possible on this venue. So two contrasting runs there, and we're only two into a 22-man field as we go straight back up to the top of the T1 South Face here at Kicking Horse. You can see how rugged it is all the way from top to bottom as we drop in our next rider, Thibaut Magnan. He is an Olympian. He is an unbelievable freestyle rider, but his transition to freeride has been seamless. He had a banging run going in Verbier before he got taken down by the Heartbreak Hotel feature at the bottom. But Thibaut Magnan, make no mistake, he is not just a freestyler. His free ride is solid. He's good over his skis, and I'm so excited to see what he delivers here today.
Thibaut dropping out of start one. Let's see where he's going to go through these technical sections up high, making quick work of it, managing his slough, coming off the nose, getting a nice safety grab, boosting those energy points, coming around, holding his speed, getting a little thrown, but holding on. I think he was trying to go for that lip, but the hard snow got him there and pushed him offline. Sick flat spin with the Japan grab to bolts, stomping it. Thibaut absolutely showcasing his freestyle background. When in doubt, throw a sick flat spin and stomp it.
Yeah, catching that one as well. Oh, and Thibaut just getting the skis out of the fall line And unfortunately, going down there for Tib Magnan, that was not quite exact. Well, for sure not what he was looking to do there. The top section, fireworks for Thibaut, and then that flat spin, unbelievable.
Absolutely, and that's, you know, such a solid freestyle background, and you saw how easy it is for him to get those tricks around in those scenarios off those features that are perfectly set up for it. I was wondering if he was trying to go for that lip that we saw Stan hit, and I think he got a bit bucked off. Let's see.
The replay will tell us.
Coming in, look at the technical ability, moving those feet around the rocks, quick safety grab, and then right there, the chopped up snow, and he kind of came off a bit of a tree bump, and he couldn't get those edges back on to make the turn. And look at that flat, textbook Japan, spotting to stomp.
And Tom, if you're right and he missed that, then that means the rest of his line was completely made up on the fly, which is incredible for him to just have the eye to go to plan B. And then that's where it all came apart. Unfortunately for Thibaut Magnan, getting across the fall line, the skis hook up in the crust right away and just shut you down.
Absolutely. Let's see how the judges dock him. But 47-6-7 at the end of the day, not what Thibaut is going to want to walk away with after Verbier. But he showcased his level of riding again. It's one of those things where the conditions just sometimes will get the better of you.
You can hear the boys just catching up about their experiences on the face as we see the whole T1 face starting to get a few tracks in all the different areas. There's only a couple of spots left that don't have any track, and I have no doubt that some of those spots are going to be, going to be well used by the rest of the riders in the field as we go straight back up. Our next rider in the gate, Blake Marshall, one of the most exciting runs we saw at Verbier with a huge 360 and then just stuck in the fall line to probably, well, in the range certainly of one of the biggest airs of the day. Wasn't quite able to put it together, but Blake Marshall is kind of having a resurgence. He was another one who was a staple on the tour. He got knocked off. He earned his way back through the challengers, and he is on course in a rowdy zone here now.
Out of start two into the technical part of the venue, and into that double we saw Victor holding on, stomping it, making that hard snow look like nothing. Off the nose, and just getting put a little back seat on a back slap on that hard landing. We saw it get taken down by Molly, but working his way in off this lip. Big flat spin right to his feet, perfectly nailing the transition. No, Blake just getting snagged up on something so hard. Again, bad luck.
Yeah,
Such an incredible rider taken down by something under the snow, and a great little splaffy to end it off. Always such a happy, positive guy.
You can see the pace just building and building and building, and as you come into those lower gullies, it gets tight and it gets crusty and icy.
I can't fucking believe that.
Yeah, you can hear his disbelief. He's, such a solid ride, and perfectly getting that second pad on that double. The math involved in that is huge, and right off of this nose, you can see the crust getting him backseat a bit, but he held on like nothing, no problem. Great flat spin right to the transition, like it was effortless. And then let's see what happens here. It was a big patch of deep snow.
Yeah,
I think
one ski in the deep snow.
Yeah, and I think there's patches and parts of the snow is quite a bit deeper than these riders are expecting.
Yeah, the wind has pushed it into some little drifts here and there, and when one foot goes into a drift and the other one doesn't, it gets pulled back.
I'm dead if you're watching. What a shame, what a shame.
Sending love to the parents.
Yeah, and I mean, that just tells the whole story. You put all the time, the travel, the energy into picking a great line, and then just taken down by kind of, a small thing with a big catastrophic result there for Blake Marshall. So really unfortunate to see him go down like that.
And similar to Thibaut, showcasing such great technical ability and freestyle. 56-3-3 to end it off for Blake, not the score he's going to want to walk away with.
Yeah, so Jackson Bathgate holding on to that top spot, currently sitting in the hot seat, but we are early days in the ski men's field right now as we look back up at the start gate, panning across from start 1 to start 2 to start 2B there. A few riders looking like they're going to be probably dropping out of there, as is our next rider. This is Salt Lake City's own Kendall Goodman. Kendall, just always with such a creative take on the mountain. He's got so much style and he's so strong his run on the Beck earlier this year with the nose butter.
Yeah.
You know, just bringing the Marcus Eder vibes. He's such an exciting rider to watch. He brings a different style than a lot of other riders, but certainly working in the free ride space as he has just constantly been a player, earning his way on through the challengers. And now Kendall Goodman on course from start 2B.
Working his way through that technical section. We just saw Blake came down. I think the riders are going to work this double and stomping it, getting it right onto that pad, so important, but getting eaten by some deep snow there. Coming into this second lip, I think he knew that that tomahawk is going to put him out of contention, having fun with it. Another flat spin like it is nothing. Such a good freestyle trick bag from Kendall, but also such a good technical rider up top, as we just saw.
Yeah, so tricky conditions here. Kendall floating the 360 on that lower one. That landing is hard. Oh, and the tree just grabbing him. Oh, coming out switch. Kendall Goodman, the magic man.
Having a bit of fun with the unforgiving mistake coming out switch. You don't see it a lot in Freeride World Tour competitions. That just goes to show how talented this man is on his skis. You know, I will say one thing that's always impressed me with Kendall's riding is his freestyle ability, but also that understated free ride technical ability he possesses. He has that Henrik Harlow influence style with the do-rag under his helmet, the big baggy clothes that he makes himself, just so everyone knows, and perfectly getting it onto that pad of the double and getting a little bit of a punch front and a tricky transition out. Nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, and you know, Tom, we've seen a few riders, the landing there is okay, but then it goes immediately to flat. It's an aggressive transition into the flats, and it's taken a few riders down. This 360, and then we're going to see he got pushed a little offline, and then that tree was like, nah. But no problem for Kendall Goodman, reverting to switch, popping back around, and he was fired up on that one.
I think the tree actually took his pole there.
It did, yeah.
So he lost a pole to the venue, but that's the price of free ride. Kendall, incredible showcase of riding, but unfortunately getting taken down by the conditions.
A 36.7 drop in there for Kendall Goodman. So Jackson Bathgate again holding down the top spot as we're just about a quarter of the way through the field. Kenny, big thumbs up to the homies at home. Another rider on that Pit Viper team, all about the good times.
Kenny, good times. Such a great rider to see. Unfortunately, not his day here in Kicking Horse.
Well, Jackson Bathgate sitting in the hot seat, enjoying the view from the Dynastar throne there.
He looks very comfortable there, and he likes it. Hopefully, he can hold on.
Yeah, love to see.
Dude, the whole shot's me right now, boys.
Love to see the Whistler boy holding it down in the hot seat, but still not going to be a comfortable spot yet, as there are so many talented riders still to come on the field. We may be just in a slight delay as somebody's probably retrieving Kendall's pole from the forest, as we are going to be making our way back up to the top. Peak Performance and Scott athlete Carl Regner Eriksson. This guy always a threat. And Tom, we talked earlier about the Swedes and the Kiwis being right at home in tough conditions. You know, you see the Scandinavian Freeride Championships in Åre in May, and it's always just looks like the worst skiing, but they have the best time on it.
And they don't hold back.
And these guys have sharpened their knives of their skill sets in conditions like that, so this is going to be light work for Carl Regner Eriksson as he is on course.
Start 2B coming in for the Swede, making quick work through that technical section, lining up that double again, gapping the whole thing, actually.
Carl.
Huge air and coming out with some speed, holding on. Coming over that lip, let's see what he has lined up after. That was a massive way to start his run, and a giant backflip from Carl. Excellent riding, standard riding that I have seen from him. Making quick work, coming through the bottom hot. He is at the start gate, at the bottom. Classic Carl Regner Eriksson skiing.
Oh, fire run there for the Peak Performance rider, the Swede. You know, you can't get caught up in the crust if you never leave the fall line. Keeping it pointed downhill. Jackson Bathgate coming over to congratulate him. He's putting his backpack on. I think Jackson is seeing the sign on the board that Carl Regner Eriksson may well have taken. This first air, enormous over all of it, and a perfect landing for Carl.
And just getting that transition right in the soft snow too. You saw that pop and floating the backflip around like it was nothing for him. He has those so dialed. You saw those adjustments that he made off that to get his speed right and make sure he didn't come off with too much speed.
And
Veteran
didn't
riding.
miss that feature, the control of balance over skis that Carl Regner Eriksson just showed. An absolute masterclass in free ride. So the peak performance rider there, he is stoked, and the judges are too, as it goes up to an 83. Carl taking over the Dynastar hot seat. He's put himself into a sweet spot here in the ski men's field. As we see high fives as the boys exchange spots. Carl Regner Eriksson taking over the throne with a masterclass in freeride and freestyle. Such technical skiing, full speed, full throttle. Carl Regner Eriksson having his way with this venue.
Absolutely, and I love to see that. You know, when he gets a run down from top to bottom, how he wants to do it, you know. And he is such a talented rider, working every part of the venue to his ability.
All right, straight back up. Carl's traveling mate, his roommate, his mentor, Christopher Turdell. He's back in the mix. We saw him right up at the top of the standings in third in Verbier. This is going to be another one that is going to be a real danger man in these conditions. Christopher Turdell, you said, Tom, he's light on his feet. He's so smooth, and he is on course now, straight into it.
Right over the edge, blowing slough over the cliff. And we're going to see the same move as Carl and making it look like nothing. So light on his feet, just stomping that whole double and getting the extra bonus there, popping over, shutting over the speed, and adjusting for a big backflip from Christopher Turdell. In through the chute, high speed here. This has been a consequential area, but making it out with no problem so far.
So interesting point of differences there, and we'll see it in the replay. Carl was able to catch that feature. He was able to get his speed back under control, but Christopher added another feature above that Carl didn't get. So you know they picked that line together because it was almost picture perfect. They both skied nearly the same thing, but one of them getting an extra feature high, one of them getting an extra feature low.
Absolutely, you know. I love to see that. Let's see how it shakes out. I think he was a bit quicker through the whole bottom, though. You know, Christopher Turdell is one of the fastest skiers on the world tour. Coming off that double, big pop. A little loose in the air with his arms if you're going to make a comparison between the two runs. The judges do look at those things when you ski very identical runs, and just in textbook backflip to a perfect transition.
And right here, Carl was able to control that speed and move left. And we'll maybe see it here on the replay. Christopher goes pin fall line. You can see the feature fly by, but he caught another little popper at the bottom, but he got that extra one at the top. So it's going to be interesting to see what the judges do with that in comparison or in comparing them directly.
Absolutely.
So the two roommates there at the Prestige Lodge in Golden now, you know, really faced off against each other in the judges' tent, as we'll see what they do with it. Peak performance rider there, the score coming up, not quite able to eclipse Carl, and Christopher sliding himself into second. I think those two fellas are going to be very happy. You can see Nick Lundgren, the peak performance team manager in the background, getting a photo of the boys together. Yeah, he's a happy guy right now, as his two of his many riders in the ski men's stable, both executing great runs. And we're going back to another peak performance rider. This is Whistler Freeride Club graduate Wei Tian Ho coming out of Whistler. He's only 19 years old, 1 year in the qualifiers, and he earned himself a spot straight onto the World Tour. He delivered one of the most magical runs we saw in Verbier. They gave him line of the day for it, not quite able to hold on. As I'd say, a bit of a kid mistake going full throttle off that bottom cliff.
You know,
now we'll see what Wei Tian's got here on the Kicking Horse
out
face.
of start 2 down the ridge into a new section we haven't seen opened up. Making quick work through the powder. Wei Tian Ho has no off button. I'm sure he's going to send it. Stomping this, such a solid rider. For his age, his strength, he is such a good, solid, big mountain rider. Big backflip off the nose to both, stomping it like it was nothing into this gully, blowing up snow, having so much fun with it. Boosting it, finding a tranny.
Big transfer across the gully. Wei Tian Ho once again finding an area that nobody else even looked at. The huge gully transfer gap at the bottom. Backflipping an air that's caused people all kinds of trouble. Yes, Wei Tian Ho bringing it home.
Finally, a run to his feet, showing everyone what he is capable of. He is such a dominant young rider. I'm sure the judges are going to be challenged with this after watching Christopher and Carl's run. look at, and you can hear the
The local
crowd.
crowd. All right, let's look at this top section, Tom.
So unique, creative. No one's gone through it. The judges love something creative in this venue, making quick work, skipping over those rocks, staying in controlled, and just boom, crust like it was nothing underneath, coming off that cliff. And here's the fall line backflip. Absolutely stomped to his feet. Great shutout. Great skiing and freeride skiing.
And this gully transfer, he had to pick up so much speed to make it across. If at home, I don't know if it does it justice, across the entire lower couloir, that line tracker shows it exactly.
Yeah.
Incredible scoping skills there. Keep in mind, if you're watching this at home, these riders scope this from across the valley through binoculars. So that transfer for Wei Tian, I mean, obviously he backed himself and his skills to have that work, but incredible. Here's where we stand now. Carl Regner Eriksson, Christopher Turdell, Jackson Bathgate. That is your 1, 2, 3. What are the judges going to do with that run from Wei Tian? That was absolute action from top to bottom.
Prodigy out of Whistler, throwing it down on the home turf in Canada. Will it be enough to knock Carl off the top seat?
Oh, man, that was incredible. I get so fired up for these kids. I mean, same as you, Tom, growing up in the Whistler Freeride Club, I coach these kids from 11 years old. The rest of the coaches from the Whistler Freeride Club I know are watching at home. Big shout out to all of you guys watching, eating pulled pork, having a good time, probably a couple pints in the mix.
Absolutely.
As now that judges crew getting to work, what are they going to do with that? Very different styles. I mean, the top half of Wei Tian's run was so technical, so difficult, but we did see Christopher and Carl with a huge air at the top as well.
Yeah.
So it's a real balance. They had backflips off a wind lip where Wei Tian had a backflip off a cliff. There's a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences as well. And all of those points are going to come into the judges' consideration.
Yeah, and I think that creative top section is going to be the thing that separates it, if anything, because we saw from Tim Schroeder with the backflip, with that section off the far right, they loved seeing the new line being skied here. It's a small venue. Let's see.
Here we go. The score coming in for Wei Tian Ho, 82-6-7. So he slots right between the two Swedes with us into second right now. A big hug there. So for the Peak Performance rider, he's going to be stoked, and so is the Peak team manager.
Yeah.
He's got boys sitting 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Incredible show already for ski men, and we are barely into it as we are straight back up to the top. Martin Bender, the young Swiss rider, he wants to give a huge shout out. I want to give a huge shout out to Les Gorilles back in Verbier. That's his young crew, all the Verbier free riders behind this guy, and we lost the other kid from this crew. Simon Perdon, unfortunately, with the broken scaphoid, is unable to join us here in Kicking Horse. So Martin Bender, the 2022 Junior Freeride World Champion. You can't swing a stick without hitting a Junior World Champ on the tour these days, and Martin Bender is getting things started.
Out of start to be over this cliff, lining up the double, stomping it so strong from Martin Bender, coming into this wind lip, and a huge cork 7 and just under rotating it, unfortunately. It's such a gamble with those 2 rotation tricks in freeride because the math is so good for a 360, but the 720, a cork 7, is so much more rotation. They have to be so sure of their speed and distance. He is such a talented rider. Unfortunately, hard to see him go down. Tree in a ski. I'm happy he avoided the tree.
Yeah.
That's a scary one, if I do say so myself, near the trees.
Absolutely, yeah. The tree just grabbing Bender's ski there. So it's going to be a bit of a project. Might need a lumberjack to dig that thing out of there. But Martin Bender, uncharacteristic to see him unsuccessful on a cork 7. He's got those on lock, but that's a tricky spot to do it.
And he just under-rotated, though. He was so close, and again, it's a game of small margins out on the mountain right now. So glad to see he's up okay, getting his ski out of that tree. Give it back.
No, it's really wedged in there.
Yeah, wow.
Martin Bender having a fight here with the local Flora. So you can see the crowd just electric, firing down here for ski men. It's the last category of the day. We saw snowboard women blowing up. We saw snowboard men put on a show. The ski women absolutely electric. As we look back here, Tom, the start of his run was so strong.
And he took the bigger part of that double, too. The judges recognized that. A bigger cliff off the second, lining it up. And there's the cork 7. And he actually took it to his feet, but I think the crust brought him down onto his side, so he did bring it around. He didn't under-rotate. It's hard to see behind that wall of snow and tree there, but...
And he just got bounced in the absolute most unfortunate direction. A wall of trees there waiting to receive him. You know, if that was a clean slope underneath, he might have been able, just with his ninja reflexes, been able to pull himself out of that. But a wall of trees is a tough barricade to overcome.
And just having fun with it down this gully, blowing up some snow, making it down in one piece. Looks like he's all good. Get some fresh powder skiing in if you can. Martin Bender showcasing, pushing the sport. Double rotation tricks are starting to infiltrate their way in with this younger generation. We saw Max Palm open it up last year with the double backflip.
Yeah,
and
we've
so,
seen Maxime Chablot with the Cork 7. We've seen Marcus Gogan with the Cork 7s. They're out there. And these guys, as we said about Martin, they've got him on lock. So it's no surprise to see them unleashing them here on the Freeride World Tour. So that's going to be a no score for the young Verbier rider, but definitely doing Les Gorilles proud with that performance. There is, you know, all of these athletes, there's no half-assing it in these runs. They know everybody else. They don't exactly know what they're going to do, but they know they're going to do something bold and wild. So everyone just coming out firing. And we go straight back up to the top here on the T1 South Face. This man sitting on the top of the pile in ski men on the Freeride World Tour. Max Hitzig, we have seen some of the most electrifying performances in the history of the Freeride World Tour. And you only have to go back 1 year to remember Max Hitzig off the George Rodney Usasaki Pyramid, throwing down one of the biggest backflips we've ever seen landed on the tour. He has got the skiing skills, the freestyle skills, and the just absolute reckless bravery. It's the perfect combination. He's so strong. So Max Hitzig wearing that fire bib, showing he is the leader on the tour on course now.
Dropping in out of start one. A lot of the riders coming out of start B, making quick work at the top. Technical riding, coming off this tricky section, making it look like nothing through those rocks, just lily padding. And a huge 3 off the shoulder and stopping it. Max Hitzig showing his strength again in Kicking Horse. Look at how solid of a rider he is. It's absolutely nothing. Quick work through the bottom, straight lining out, getting out of the trees. What a performance from the German Max Hitzig. Coming back into the finish, Max Hitzig. Kicking Horse seems to be his mountain as well as Verbier. This is an incredible showing from him. We saw Jackson Bathgate hit that cliff. Look at the lily pad coming through that top section, making quick work of it, avoiding rocks, and this. So much trust in the snowpack and taking it to his feet. No control issues, and a huge, huge 360 like it was nothing on the landing.
Well, that was an incredible run from Max Hitzig, as we've come to expect. It honestly shouldn't be a surprise anymore when we see Hitzig deliver a performance like that. Top to bottom, extremely technical, huge airs with the tricks. He's got it all, and you look at that line tracker, so fall line, so direct. Now the judges have got their work cut out for them. Hitzig, he's stoked.
Yeah. And
really stoked.
Well, already the judges have had their say, and that is rocketing up to a 94. Incredible score with this many riders left to go. Max Hitzig once again delivering an electrifying performance here on the Freeride World Tour.
Absolutely firecracker run from Max Hitzig. And that 360 was insane with this snow condition.
Incredible, incredible run from Max Hitzig, but we take no breaks. We're going right back up to the top, and we had a chance to catch up with the man who finished second in Verbier, Finn Billis. Incredible rise up the Freeride World Tour rankings.
Yeah, I think for me, coming to Canada, it was always a place that I saw on the movies that I was really inspired by. Some of my favorite video parts have come out of this area, and so to be here and have the privilege of being able to ski and compete in locations like this, just a childhood dream come true. It's hard to say if there's an advantage coming into this event with maybe a more freestyle orientated terrain. Understanding of how to adapt to that terrain ultimately is what makes the riding excel, and definitely try to incorporate a few tricks here and there throughout the runs.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch Finn Billis's rise through the Freeride World Tour ladder. He came on last year as a wild card. He's an Olympic freestyler. But watching him learn every event, just taking on a little more, figuring out exactly what the judges are looking for, and adapting his style without giving up his style. It's so impressive and exciting to watch Finn Billis do this.
Coming out of start one over this bench into the technical Sharky Rock air, making quick work, no hesitation from Finn, through with ease. Coming into this bottom cliff band where we've seen some riders get taken down, and a huge three. Unfortunately, getting taken down to his hip on that hard landing. That cliff has been taking riders down all day. Still having fun with it, blowing up the snow. You can salvage a run. We have to be mindful of that. And Finn taking the same channel gap as Wei Tian like it was nothing. You know that he still has a smile on his face in the classic Kiwi fashion. I love to see it. Unfortunately, not Finn's day, but making it to the finish corral.
Yeah, you know what I love about that is Finn's older brother, Hank, became known for these wild transfers in the Freeride World Tour space. And when Wei Tian was looking at his line, he described that as a Hank Billis transfer. So it was great to see Wei Tian and Finn both see the same thing, and for Wei Tian to give credit to Hank. So, you know, unfortunately for Finn, lining up this 360 just didn't quite get it together.
Yeah, and he pulled it around, but just a little touch short on the rotation. And if you're under rotating a trick, it throws off your landing and you have no strength in your legs.
Yeah, for sure. The impact just goes up exponentially. And then this, we'll call it the Hank Billis transfer at the bottom. Hopefully Hank is watching little bro throw it down here on the tour. So Finn Billis, you know, he's sitting on a great result already, so this one's going to be one that he'll just brush off. One of the just most loveliest guys to be around, so friendly, positive energy, just infectious and contagious, always coming from Finn. So score coming in there for Finn Billis, a 53.33. Not going to be his day, but we know we'll see Finn come back smiling, and if we're skiing powder in Georgia, he's going to be a huge threat.
Absolutely. Let's see what the rest of the categories bring up. We've seen some riders show that crust is immovable, and we've also seen some riders get taken down, unfortunately, by it. And that is what the challenge was going to be today, and everyone knew that, you know. It's a game of millimeters, unfortunately. You can land in a bit deeper snow and not feel it, or...
For sure. So yeah, you got to line up those angles and make sure you've done your homework well. So speaking of huge threats, the 2022 World Champ and the last time the Freeride World Tour used this venue, this guy came out on top. He's got a victory on this venue, and he is always hungry. Maxime Chablot, is he going to go full freeride? Is he going to go freestyle? I think we're going to see a combination of both, but always a threat.
And in start one.
3, 2, 1, dropping.
Coming out of start one, taking a hard right approach. We haven't seen this yet today. This is so gutsy with the snow on the rocks here in Kicking Horse. It takes a serious set and sending a huge cliff off the top, a little butt slap, and a 360 back into the venue like it was nothing. Huge transfer from Maxime. Completely new line, though. I love to see that. And oh my gosh, no! Unfortunately, getting clipped by a rock or something in the run into that lip.
It looked like he was lining up for a front flip, but clearly something had grabbed his ski and he got tossed into an unintentional front flip off of that cliff. You can see his ski coming off in the landing. Maxime Chablot going full throttle there, and it just... the wheels came off quick on that one.
Yeah, that is so scary because you were powerless in that position. And, you know, I will say that happened to me 3 years ago in Kicking Horse. A rock on the takeoff took my ski, and that's it. You can do nothing about it. Maxime throwing down a brand new line. Never skied before on this venue. So I'm sure he's going to feel that one sting, but that's the creative eye he took, and he had the choice. Look at that air. The crust just put him down, but the landing gear held him. Such a strong individual and a big 360 back into the venue.
Carving off that left ski into the 360. Yeah. Oh, he got caught up Wow, so lucky that he landed in the snow there and not on a tree or a rock.
Yeah.
The snow just grabbing his ski on the approach, and then Chablot, the unintentional front flip off a cliff. Really happy to see him walk away from that one. That was a scary moment for Maxime Chablot.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's so cool to see Maxime choose a new line. A lot of riders who have been on venues can just go for a line that they've skied before because they know that it's a good safety. Not that that's a great strategy in competition skiing, but to choose a brand new line off that technical section on the top is awesome skiing, veteran line scoping. He was looking for something fun. You know, I think he did have a really fun approach and attitude toward the venue, regardless of the snow condition underneath this fresh bit of POW. I'm glad to see he's up and moving. Just, again, tough luck on this venue today.
Exactly. Chalk that one up. That wasn't a rider mistake.
No.
That was just unlucky that that the snow grabbing his ski. There might have been a little shark underneath there. That is one of the hallmarks of the venue currently as we stand. There can be, or there are, little bits of powder on top of exposed rocks, and you can't see them. So there's no way to know that they're there until they're stealing your ski and sending you into a front flip off a cliff.
When it happens, it's too late. And my sympathies go out to Maxime. That's a tough one. He is such a solid rider and a contender on this venue. And he's making his way down to the finish corral, keeping it smart, safe, enjoying some turns.
Yeah,
now he was a contender on this venue. He's opening up a gap for other riders and other powerhouse riders to put something down to their feet.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big threat fended off there by Max Hitzig.
Look, it just punched down and it was just back behind him before he even knew what happened.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do about that. Nothing anyone could do about that. Let's see if we can hear the story.
No!
Ja.
That says it all.
Einfach Ski verloren. Der Ski hat sich so gecatcht und dann boom. Out.
Yeah, there you go. Like it was nothing. Just he didn't even. It was over before it happened. So.
God, the hardest thing was done.
I love that. But that, you know, that's fair. The top of this venue is technically the most challenging with the rocks, the steepness, the snow.
Well, sharing the story there with Max Hitzig, who's sitting in that Dynastar hot seat, and really unfortunate for Maxime Chablot as he was on fire before that. The loading up the left ski and carving into that 360, the long transfer, just such a skill move. It was so incredible to see. So that's a big challenge fended off there by Max Hitzig. You know, but there are many more to come. We're just at the halfway mark now in Ski Men, and we are ramping things up as we're going back to the top for another local favorite. This is Whistler Freeride Club's own Marcus Gauguin. This kid keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's an emotional roller coaster watching him ski. Action-packed. I mean, watching him in Verbier, even the judges after were like, what are they feeding these kids in Whistler? Every single feature had a trick. Lacing the turns, corner to corner to corner. Marcus Gauguin in the start gate. Cannot wait to see what he brings to this
I will
race.
say, what are you feeding them as head coach of the Whistler Freeride Club? He is one of the two prodigies on the start list, Wei Tian and Marcus, coming out of the Whistler Freeride Club. Such a solid rider. For such a young age, just such a powerhouse, so strong. You know, and his ability to react and adapt and showcase technical, high-speed, proficient freeride skiing is there. And the freestyle, the cork sevens, the giant backflips are like seamless to him.
Well, and we were chatting last night. I mean, Marcus comes from, you know, a bit of the Canadian ski royalty family. His uncle, Thomas Grandy, the best slalom skier in the history of Canada. So the technique is just baked into his DNA, and Marcus Gauguin has certainly inherited some of that from the family and from the people that he skis with. Marcus Gauguin now getting set to kick things off. Last year, in Kicking Horse, he delivered an electric performance. We know he's comfortable now. He's on his own time zone. You know, he's got his friends and family around him, and he is fired up to kick things off. Him and Stan Ray were scoping lines together, so hopefully we're going to see a more successful outcome if he goes over to the same zone that Stan went to.
And you know, again, you have to roll those dice as a free rider. If you're confident in your ability, you stick with it, even if someone else got taken down in that same zone, because the line that you choose and speaks to you is the line that's going to ski well. Marcus coming out of start 2 down the ridge. Let's see what he has lined up. Again, into a new creative section. making quick technical work of it, and a huge 360 off the cat road like it was nothing, a quick redirect, and another 360. Were those both different ways? I can't see from here.
Mark is flying, and another spin.
another.
Bolts on that one too, so we're 2 seconds into his run. He's got 3 360s already, and we are seeing him heading out into this wooded area that only has one track in it. Marcus Goguen now into uncharted territory.
We are both standing up here in the announcer booth looking at this run, coming into uncharted territory. Can he hold on? This is it. Off this cliff and stopping it!
Marcus Goguen with a brand new line, a huge air out the bottom.
Oh my gosh.
This was completely,
I am in disbelief. He stuck with his guns. He held those 360s. He even got caught up on one on the run-in and still committed. This young buck is unstoppable when he's on fire. Marcus Goguen, aka as I call him, Gorgon, putting down an incredible run here in Kicking Horse. Mats Hitzig has to be sweating right now.
Absolutely. That was just such a beautiful combination of pure free ride with that huge air at the bottom and just wild pedal to the metal freestyle as he gets a hug from his, his childhood best friend, Tom. Let's take a look at this replay.
Look at the technical work in here, committing in that fresh snow with the rocks, and huge 360, coming around, setting up, getting that transition, and another left 3 perfectly stomped. Great riding, showcase of his freestyle ability, and you see that catch, but still commits. He's patient. He knew that he could come up to the lip and stomp that 3, and this is the showstopper. Threw that lily pad and just stomped. He knew exactly where he needed to go. He had to commit on that lily pad, and boom.
The angle was perfect. It's one of the few spots where you can find a big cliff on this face that still actually, you can see Max Hitzig is shaking. So Hitzig right now in the top spot, Carl Rigner Eriksson and Wei Tian Ho. That's your 1, 2, 3. This man, Marcus Goguen, definitely going to have a say in that conversation as the judges get to work. They're lining up what he did with the criteria, and they've already had their say. The thermometer going up, a 91.33.
Interesting score in my personal professional opinion, but that goes to show how solid Max Hitzig is when he's on, and I think that might be the fall line aspect to Max Hitzig's line. That was the big difference. Marcus did work a little out far right, and so it's interesting to see, but these are the nuances in the judging. So
yeah, so Marcus Goguen now sitting in second spot, coming close, but not quite eclipsing Hitzig for that top spot with the score coming in. So shaking things up, a couple riders who were way down the bottom of the pile now moving significantly up. We go right back up to the top for the Utah native, Dylan Flinders. This man, he's a professional skier. He's a professional downhill mountain bike racer coming out of Salt Lake. An unbelievable skier, another deep bag of tricks. Flinders honing his skills on the slopes of Snowbird, and always exciting to watch. I can't wait to see what Dylan unleashes on this T1 South face.
And Dylan, dropping out of start 2, I know he is such a strong rider. Strength is something that he possesses as a downhill mountain bike professional and professional freeride skier. And he has a great bag of tricks too. Coming off this nose and stomping, and
just a little impatient there.
Yeah, absolutely. That crust, trying to set that turn before he pops back onto the center of his ski. Dylan's going to be very disappointed with that one, I know. And a big backflip, having fun with it, getting it around, still showing that he knows what's up and how he can hang here, making his way through that creative little tree zone.
And now this bottom section popping clean for Dylan Flinders as he makes his way off. As you said, Tom, he's going to be disappointed with that because he had such a strong start and laying out the backflip. So he's definitely going to salvage some points here. There's no giving up. And, you know, for even if you're looking at a mid-pack result, a slightly higher mid-pack result is going to put some points on the board and move you in a good direction towards that overall cut.
And it could be the difference maker because he is sitting at right below the cut line. And these, like I said before, these mid-pack results make a difference in that position. You want to get through the cut. I know we all want the win, but you want to make it to next season.
Yeah, so the Dynastar rider there, you can see him in this extremely exposed technical section, laying it down, and he just, it was a little bit of impatience.
Yeah.
You got to wait until you're balanced before you put the skis across the fall line. And Dylan Flinders just getting a bit impatient, but then this backflip so perfectly executed.
And so clean, so tight, so held together in the air. He has those absolutely dialed. And just, you know, he making his way down in control, salvaging those points for his run. And this is the bottom back, the extra bonus. Look at the style in that. Just hands on the hip, riding out like it was nothing, brushing it off the shoulders. Dylan Flinders, such an incredible rider. Always a pleasure to watch ski.
So score coming in for Flinders, it's a 58.67, so that puts him into 7th. Again, a salvage result potentially, you know, if he can get himself somewhere in the top 10, you know, put some points on the board and give himself an opportunity to move himself on the good side of the cut. And of course, we're not at the cut yet. We still have a whole event to go in Georgia after the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro. So Dylan Flinders wrapping up his day. As we see, the track's definitely starting to play effect. There's some rocks poking out at the top there as we look at start 1, the big pyramid start gate. We're going to be seeing Oscar Mandon, another big threat. Hitzig will be nervous. Oscar Mandon, the French rider coming out of Avoriaz. He had a huge run going in Verbier, unfortunately going down on the one that took out so many great riders on an enormous backflip. So he's sitting a bit lower than he would like to be in the overall in 18th. But Oscar Mandon, always a threat when we see him unleash on a free ride World Tour face.
Absolutely, and he has such solid technical riding skills, and he has that charging big mountain freestyle style as well. So I'm curious to see what Oscar's going to cook up today. Coming off that early entrance over this cliff, stomping it over exposure, holding on, and boosting off this second man, bolting it. Oscar Mandon, such a strong rider, coming into this Max Hitzig 360, and a giant backflip, and holding on. Oh my God, Oscar Mandon.
Well, Oscar with 3 huge airs at the top of the face with an enormous backflip, and now showcasing his skill as he makes his way down this maze. It's been chopped up, catching the nose of that one, and now just putting it into the fall line to escape those trees that have taken down so many riders. Oscar Mandon over this bottom roll, and he's going to pin it through the finish line, top to bottom. Absolutely flawless run there from Oscar Mandon.
What an electric run. So technical off that early right hook in air into the top, and off that Cliff Jackson Bathgate hit into the backflip. You know, it's that high energy, high pace skiing that the judges just love. Watch the replay here. Early entrance and going over all the rocks and just holding on. You have to be so dialed and tight in there because that second cliff comes up and he just finds the perfect angle. And this backflip here.
Sets it hard, floats it down. Yeah, that was just incredible. We've seen only a couple riders even want a piece of that, and Oscar taking it perfectly, and on that one just absorbing with the feet because he knew he needed to make a couple direction changes after, and then that was just flawless for the Avoriaz rider.
And if I may,
tous les copains, je vous aime fort. Film de cats.
Oscar always with the cat stickers.
I love it. Look at the FWT drawing, the Canadian, the Swiss, and the Georgia flag there.
Super hard to ski.
But if I may, if we look at that backflip again, which I'm sure we'll get a replay, he went huge, and his bomb hole looked like deep snow. That's good, smart scoping and looking at the terrain and the nuances in the terrain.
Yeah, finding a wind drift to land in. The score going way up, 92.67 for Oscar Mandon, sliding into first, pushing Marcus Goguen down into third. Another one not troubling Max Hitzig in that top spot, but a huge one for Oscar Mandon, and another man who was below the cut coming into this, who has put his stamp on this. So here we go, your top 5. Wei Chen Ho, Carl Regner Eriksson, Marcus Goguen, Oscar Mandon, and Max Hitzig now sitting on the, still sitting on the top of the pile with the 94-point run.
And the top 3 men are so tight, and the 4th to 6th place men are also so tight. So this is going to be a very interesting day at the end of it.
Well, here we go. Speaking of interesting, This is a stick of dynamite with the fuse lit. This guy holding it down for the Spanish fans, the Canadian fans roaring down here at the base of T1 South for Abel Moga. He studied under the umbrella of Aimar Navarro, always full speed, full throttle, and always exciting to watch. Abel on course now.
Fast out of start one, coming down to this technical section. Let's see what he has lined up, avoiding all those sharks, getting over this cookie, getting a nice pop, and getting, I can't tell what happened there. He blew up so much snow. Coming around that cliff band, and let's see what he has lined up here off this lip. And a big 360 from Abel.
Oh, he caught. I wonder if that was the spot where Maxime Chablot crashed. It looked like he skied into a hole there.
A
and
wall
it
just hit him.
Rocked him. Abel Moga going down hard there.
And Abel is going to have wanted something a bit more from that after his finish in Verbier. It's going to come down to the line for him, and he is such an explosive skier. I think he was just, you know, trying to get one down on his feet.
Yeah, it looked like he was going well, and then unfortunately just skiing into some kind of pit or hole that just took him out instantly. And you can see the body language. Abel just absolutely dejected after that. That's 2 tough ones in a row, 2 no scores so far in the 2024 World Tour season. So Abel Moga, a real unfortunate outcome here at the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro for him.
And I'm curious to see what happened in that snow cloud too, because if he did go down, he knows that, and that can impact his mental game at the top of the run right there. And then all of a sudden you're in a different mindset. Working his way down to the finish line, still in one piece. Physically, I'm happy to see that after some of the crashes he has taken, because he is a true freeride sender, Abel Moga. Getting love from Max Hitzig.
Yeah, we'll get a look here while you see the crowd just vibrant at the bottom of the face at Kicking Horse Mountain Resort. And Abel Moga, unfortunate for the Spanish fans, unfortunate for him, as he's just, the picture of disappointment. But a tough one for Abel is another rider going down on something not really, hard to chalk that up to his fault. You know, he had good trajectory on there. The 360 was well executed, well rotated, but then just getting slammed by something that he would have had no way of knowing was there.
Absolutely. And, you know, in the past, if he's gone down on something big, something that, you know, it's a big line, and this is just, again, a symptom of the conditions that we have out there today. Now with a ton of tracks on the venue, it looks like a war zone at the top of that with all the rocks, the slough. It can be, you know, a rider can scope something, and then by the end of the day, it's a rock.
All right, well, we are back up to the top. This is your reigning Freeride World Tour Ski Men's Champion, Vali Rayner, Scott Rider, peak performance rider. I called him the sponsor's dream. You know, the lining up perfectly. Vali is your reigning champ. He had a tough go. Another one taken out by the Dream Killer on the Verbier face. So looking for redemption and looking to climb back out of that pit that he dug for himself on the first stop of the Freeride World Tour. But this man is Mr. Consistent. He delivered just consistent performance after performance last year, you know, always in the mix, and then with a win in Andorra last year. He's always so solid. Looking forward to seeing Vali Rayner on the T1 South face of Kicking Horse.
Austrian powerhouse out of start one, coming through that technical section with so much speed, shutting it down into a new air and sending it off that middle band and stomping it. Huge cliff in the middle from Vali, and a big 360 to connect right after, holding on, staying in control, hitting this, let's see, keeping it straight through this tight tree section and pointing it, getting the extra points. Get out of there clean, holding on, Vali Rayner from the top to the bottom in probably about 15 seconds. Such incredible riding.
Well, that was really smart from Vali because he got a ton of speed, and when you get into that gully system, it's so narrow. If you start trying to make turns in there going that pace, you're going to get tossed into one of the walls, and so he made the choice to just keep it in the fall line and straight line all the way through the gully.
Let's look at this. He's so quick through this section, and there's not a lot of distance. He got a little shut down on the inside, but then huge air off the middle band and just stomping it. Such strong riding from Valentin. And coming into the 360, great set, in control. Look at the spot, holding on the landing gear, those strong legs holding him up. And this is where he's smart. He says, I'm just gonna keep it straight, Nice shutout turn, and then goes all the way to the bottom, because if you catch a tree or anything under the snow at that speed, that is not a fun way to end your day.
Yeah, the line tracker telling the story there after that last feature. It's dead fall line, pinned all the way to the bottom. Big smiles there for Vali Rainer, one of the most positive riders on the Freeride World Tour. Always happy. These two traveling together.
Yeah.
They're such good friends, and you know, while they in the start gate, they're competitors, but so much of this just comes down to the people you have in your corner, and they are definitely backing each other. Score coming in for Vali Rainer, an 87 flat, so putting him into 4th. So the score's climbing up the board here as we make our way through.
And that is absolutely what he needed after his finish in Verbier. That 4th is going to hold him strong for now. We still have a couple huge heavy hitters to finish off the category, but we are in the back 3 quarters. So that is a good sign for Vali. Let's see what we have for the rest in store. But I love watching that. He chose an air in that middle cliff band that hasn't been hit before. He took a gamble on it and stomped it.
Yeah, going so big, the 360, and then just pinned out the bottom. So Vali Rainer has had his say, and we are going back to the top. T1 South getting worked over here as we go back up, and we are looking at Colton Schaff. Colton, a rookie on the tour this year, winning the Challenger Series in Region 2. That is the North and South American region, 26 years old. Living there in Bozeman, working as an engineer on the side. Another, you know, we call them the Freeride World Tour overachievers. There's so many of these athletes that are just good at everything they do. And Colton on course now.
Out of start gate 2B, that little higher entrance over that cliff section, through the technical section, lining up where he's going to go. I have a feeling he was looking at something what Marcus was doing, and a huge pop, and just pillowing over that. He made quick work of it and stayed in control. I think he did come a bit short. Also popping and stomping. Colton is such a strong rider, throwing so much consistency through the qualifiers, and a huge backflip in the middle. No.
I think that was the same hole that took Abel out. That landing is maybe just got a bit munched by Maxime Chablot, and both of those riders landing clean and then just getting bucked immediately as soon as they come back into contact with the ground.
Absolutely, and I think when riders start to hit things in all these different angles, the landings and the holes start getting all weird, and it's so easy to just get taken out. And a big backflip to finish it off. Still having fun with it. Unfortunately, finding the crest and putting it to his hip, but Colton getting down to the finish corral.
Well, Colton Schaff getting a big hug from all the homies. Kendall Goodman coming out there to welcome him into the finish, as well as Michael Mon. So, sorry, that was Dylan.
Dylan. Yeah, the homies always looking out for each other. You know, it's so tough when you have a day like that. It's just not what you want. But coming in through this top, and yet, look at the control and the strength, though, to pillow something like that. It's huge to be able to adapt. And stomping that middle cliff band, showing his strength, and look at landing it, and I think his tails got thrown up from being a bit backseat on that crest.
A touch over-rotated.
And a touch over-rotated. And if you over-rotate a backflip, it's so hard to come back from, especially in firm snow conditions.
Well, Colton Schaff, he's got a decent result under his belt from Verbier. This one's not going to be a keeper, but we'll see him come back swinging as we see him there in the finish area, just, you know, catching his breath, going through kind of what went down. So a 28-point result, that's going to be good enough for 14th for Colton Schaff. In a field of 22, you know, again, points on the board. It's not nothing for Colton as he gives hits a big fist bump and makes his way off the stage. So incredible show so far from the ski man. We're going back to the top. This young man, absolutely electric. We've seen him just deliver performances across the tour, and we got a chance to catch up with him about the level we're seeing on the Freeride World Tour.
The ski man category this year is insane. It's so cool to watch everyone ski, and we're all such a big group of friends, and it's such a high level. So I think the only thing that changes that it's more inspiring than the years before, because everyone can have it if it's his day, and I think that's really cool.
Well, you know, there's a look into the headspace. Max Palm, they're all such good friends, but he recognizes the level of talent in this field from ski men is just through the roof at the moment, and all of them pushing each other upwards and upwards and upwards. Every single stop, it just keeps going up. And Max Palm is one at the forefront of that. Every single time we see him drop in, it's just insane what he's able to do.
Dropping in out of start gate 2B, Max Palm, such an incredible rider, such a deep bag of tricks and technical ability, and a huge 3 off the gap and stopping it, holding on. No! Max going for such an ambitious line, and he had it. He gets caught on that run out too, and that's the hard snow. If you're a bit off balance, I hope he's okay. He's standing in a bit of a hunched posture. Max Palm, always knowing for giving it 100%. And you know what? He is one of the guys, along with this whole start list, that actually makes me scared to ever want to get back into competing.
Yeah.
And he's pushed the sport in such a big direction with the double backflips he's brought in. So always going to give it. Hard day for Max Palm, but that just goes to show he 3'd the big gap at the top.
Yeah, incredible. We didn't think we were going to see a move like that off the top, and Max Palm is one who is just swinging for the fences every single time he leaves the start gate. 360 off that, and we'll get a chance to analyze and see exactly what happened there, what took him down. But you can just see the body language of Max Palm, absolutely devastated to see that not go his way. The peak performance rider always delivering the performances of the day and highlight reel stuff every single time.
Absolutely, and he did come second on this venue in 2022 as well. So he knows what it takes to do on this venue, and he had it lined up. And that's always hard, knowing that you have that advantage on these venues. If you've podiumed on them before, you kind of get a read for the mountain, the feeling, what you need to bring and how you need to ski. And he definitely brought it, but it's that tough snow condition now. These are the top riders, and like I said, this is a day that I would be even trepid to ski in a competition. So good for them. And let's look at Andrew Pollard, the last man. He's got to watch the whole show from the top.
Yeah, he's just vibing out there. A. Paul waiting for his turn. He will be the last man to go in the ski men's field. Max Palm going to be making his way down through the bottom gully, kind of just
straight lining it, having fun. Keep it together, and a nice little spot.
Oh, he's got his helmet in his hand and almost just drove his head into the ground on that ski off of the face.
He's a kid. That's a young man's move. Max Palm.
So all the friends coming. Yeah, Tom, have a look at this.
So solid. He comes around and just a little on the inside, a little early with that turn. He wanted to get to that lip and make sure he could get to that next takeoff. But he almost was a bit, I don't want to say impatient, but just a little earlier and higher on the run than he thought, and just ended up off the bump on the
impatient
inside.
is exactly the right word. He had those two things lined up back to back, and this is something that is really difficult because the nature of this venue, it's quite compressed.
His helmet took a good brunt of a hit, I think, on a rock when he went into the bush. You can see a chip out of it on the front.
Well, that's why these riders wear all that protective equipment. There is risk and consequence involved when you're pushing at this level of the sport. And yeah, Max, with the compressed nature of this venue and how close together things are, managing the speed is really difficult with the snow conditions, and Max Palm not quite able to do it. So Hitzig there, that's another big threat fended off for him. Are we going to see the same as we saw in snowboard men, where it's a back-to-back winner in the first two events? Max Hitzig is certainly not going to be comfortable in that seat with the riders we still have on the top of this face, all capable of delivering a win here on the T1 South venue. Kicking Horse Mountain Resort providing the backdrop for this stop number 2 of the Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance. And so far, it has delivered everything we have expected from the Canadian stop on the tour.
Absolutely. Ben Richards is one of my favorite skiers to watch ski. He is so stylish. He has huge tricks, so technical. It's that Kiwi nature. A lot of what you see from Craig Murray, a past Freeride World Tour legend.
Yeah, and Ben, great friends with Craig, actually roommates with Craig in Squamish this winter. These guys moving over to Canada to have a go at the good snow. So it was a quick commute for Ben, and he is on course now.
Out of start one into this technical shelf. Let's see what Ben is going to have lined up. And popping over the whole top like it was nothing. Opening up his arms like a bird, just flying through. Lining up for the next feature. I think this next one, they can't hit that one before. and a huge 3, just getting it around, getting a little bucked, but staying in control. And look at the footwork off that bottom hit, making it work, connecting all 3 at high speed. Incredibly mature riding from Ben Richards.
Yeah, and so smooth, so technical, and so fast. That might be the fastest run we've seen from everyone. A huge hug there from countryman Finn Billis. These guys, they roll together, they have a blast together, and so exciting to see Ben Richards. He worked hard to get himself onto the tour. He was battling on the qualifier and challenger level year after year, so he had a 5th place already in Verbier, and that was an electric performance.
Look
from
at
Ben.
this, just pop and so controlled and stopping it like it was nothing. And that sets him up so good to shut out. And look at the 3, a little open up to correct for his rotation. That's okay when you do that. And sucking it up, absorbing that landing so he can stay in control. His feet stay together and stomping that bottom little pocket air. Quick work from Ben Richards on T1 South.
Quick work, smart riding.
Let's see how it places with the past runs that we've seen in the top 5 today.
Well, I'll tell you, the most uncomfortable seat, maybe right now other than Max Hitzig, is in the judges' tent, as they have been put to work today with so many solid runs. You can see them, they're reviewing, they're watching replays, they're analyzing every little aspect, every minute detail to put it together, because the scores, at this stage with so many good runs that we've already seen, incredible run from Ben Richards, and he is stoked.
And a big thing that I say, and growing up, is it's not what features you hit, it's how you ski in between them. And that can make all the difference in these short venues where if you're 5 feet off of a turn, it can severely impact how you're going to ski the rest of your run and your fluidity. And Ben just showcasing such good knowledge on that venue, making such quick work.
Yeah, that was really good line scoping. He knew he was going to be hauling ass, so he picked things that worked together in sequence, back to back to back to back. And the way he pulled his feet up on that final feature, there's a big lip on that, and it's pretty aggressive. So just pulling the feet up, absorbing some of the energy off the lip, and allowing himself to stay in balance. And it's exactly as you said at the start of the day, the long and lows are going to play well today, and Ben Richards putting himself exactly into the mix on that. That was brilliant skiing from Ben.
Absolutely. Let's see what the judges think of this. And there's so many options on this venue, as we've seen, and keeping it fall line.
Here we go, score coming in for Ben Richards into 7th with an 82. So we have so many scores in the 80s, and that was another big one. So solid result for Ben Richards with only a couple riders to go, and the judges having their say. Maybe if you do compare some of those higher ranked riders right now, they had some bigger cliffs in their run, where Ben, he went big off smaller features. So clearly the judges' criteria matters. Line score is king in this sport, and Ben Richards, but still a solid keeper in a stacked field.
But as he stands 7th overall with a 5th in Verbier,
he's
is
looking
massive for the overall. Back up to the start.
All right, so this young rider showed us exactly what he's made of, and I want to make a correction. Tenla Katsuno, he corrected me when we were chatting. He said, it's not Tenra. That's an English way of saying it. My name is Tenla. So it is Tenla Katsuno. This young guy, we've seen him in the mix in the juniors. He was a standout on the qualifiers and the challengers last year, and now he is in the start gate again, and in his very first Freeride World Tour competition ever, putting himself into 4th. Such strong riding from Tenla as we await anxiously his drop in here at Kicking Horse.
Oh, we are getting a correction from the judges on the score here, as I've just been told in my ear. Max Hitzig waiting in the hot seat. He still has Tenla and Andrew Pollard, 2 powerhouse riders. Let's see what's being corrected here.
Interesting development here as we got Ben Richards back out in front of the backdrop. So we'll see what they've decided to do.
Let's see how this goes. I haven't seen a correction ever in my history as a rider on the World Tour.
No, we're forging new ground here, so.
Which I think is a positive thing, because correcting and reviewing things is the best way. They only have this one opportunity up here today on the hill, as the rule book says, to make these scores. They can't re-look at a replay tomorrow night and change it. It's as it stands today. So the judges being very professional, they're the best of the best. If they have to make this call, they made the right call. Let's see how it goes for Ben. If you put some beers on Ben, you could be losing some or gaining some.
Interesting development here as we see the score now dropping again, an 82-83, so he's actually moved up a position. So Ben Richards now into 6th place. Interesting development there as the judges decided they wanted to review there, and you know, live judging is really hard because you have such a short time window to get it done. But whatever that was, they did it. And now here we see in the overall standings on the day, Max Hitzig, Oscar Mandan, Marcus Gogan, Valley in 4th, Carl 5th. Ben Richards just jumped above Wei Tian Ho, so that was the correction that they wanted to make. Turdell and Jackson Bathgate, Dylan Flinders rounding out the top 10 with 2 men to go. We are moving back up to the start. Tenla Katsuno, rider out of Japan. He's holding it down. You know, we haven't had a Japanese rider on tour since Yu Sasaki, who we saw last night at the Peak Performance Activation with his food truck delivering some of the most delicious food. And Tenla holding that long tradition of strong Japanese free riders. And he is on course now, ready to have his say here on the Kicking Horse Face.
Tenla out of start 1 onto this traverse. We've seen so much energy and so much stuff happen on blowing up snow, having fun with it. Coming across the face into this cliff band. Let's see what Tenla lines up off the Hugo Sarlin and stomping it. A little thrown off the lip, but holding on. Coming off that next one, so in control, linking it up.
Yeah, back-to-back-to-back features there for Tenla as he makes his way down. There's a bunch of stuff stacked up. He gets himself into this lower gully and now picking up a head of steam as he flies off the lower one. A little bit backseat, but clean for Tenla Katsuno as we're going to see him now coming over this final roll and into the finish with a bunch of speed. Tenla Katsuno locking in at the bottom.
That's absolutely what he needed. Just put something on the feet. Same with Ben Richards. Tenla finishing 4th in Verbier, and let's see how this puts him, but it's huge. Consistency is key in this sport.
Yeah, these riders all want to be on the good side of the cut line after Georgia. As Tom, we go back and look at Tenla's run.
Scoping it, getting lined up, making the corrections, and stomping it. Finding some pow to shut down in as well. And right off the nose of that next one, too. He knew he needed to have his speed in control for that. And then look at this, landing on a little bump, off-centered, but so strong and in control. And again, makes the corrections for that little lip off the side of the gully and holding on.
Yeah.
Look at how straight he is through the bottom. So much speed, holding it down. Tenla Katsuno, incredible riding.
Throttle wide open for Tenla as he stands at the bottom, all smiles. One of the most infectiously enthusiastic riders on the tour. 69.33, so Tenla still in the mix, in the top 10, as you said, Tom, with a 4th already under his belt. That's going to put a bunch of points on the board toward the overall for Tenla, and it's all going to come down to the last event in Georgia to see who makes it on the uphill side of that cut. So this man has spent the whole day sitting in that hot seat, just watching rider after rider after rider come down and throw down. As we go back up to the top to the last rider of the day, this is the pride of Alta Utah, APOL, Andrew Pollard. We've seen him deliver fireworks moments across all venues. Always a good time, just keeping the vibe mellow, riding for that Pit Viper team, sitting right now in 10th overall. APOL was well in the hunt last year for the overall when we unfortunately had the Verbier Extreme canceled. He was psyched to drop last. He wanted to see what everyone else did. He wanted to see what was working and what wasn't. So APOL getting ready to kick things off.
Andrew Pollard, such a smooth rider, so technically proficient. He knows exactly where to ski down the venue. Let's see how he starts right out of the gate, off the technical section from start 1, like it's nothing, correcting his speed, coming into this next cliff bend, and huge floating cliff to stopping it.
No!
And thrown a little off balance. So uncharacteristic of Andrew Pollard. You know, he had that in the bag. He was floating. You could tell that he was relaxed in the air, and that's the hard crust, the variable, unpredictable snow underneath. Andrew is not going to be happy with that. And again, just making his way down to the bottom. Andrew Pollard, unfortunately caught by the tradition today, launching off the bottom roller. You can hear the frustration because when stuff like that happens and it's not entirely a result of something they did.
Yeah,
And it's the
he's bummed
conditions.
here. Let's take a look back at this run from Andrew Pollard.
So smooth on his landings and so strong. Coming into this middle cliff end, let's see. And caught, just absolutely caught. He waited, he landed, he was pointed back into the far lane before correcting his turn, and right as he started to turn, something caught his inside ski, it looked like, and forced his feet out from under him. Andrew Pollard gonna have to fight for it in Georgia.
Yeah, that's disappointing, and you could hear him when he came through the finish line. He said, "I never do that." So really uncharacteristic, and the body language says it all. As speaking to the folks at home, I'm sure his sister Jacqueline, who was a standout on the Freeride World Tour, will be watching Andrew throw down. He's going to be bummed, but we'll see him come back firing at the next event. The judges, we're waiting, but there's going to be obviously a huge control and fluidity dock for that one for A-Paul.
And, I will say I grew up riding in the juniors, qualifiers, and the World Tour with this man, and I've always looked up to his riding and his ability. When he is on, he makes skiing look flawless.
Yeah, he makes it look easy, and he makes it look fun, which is what I've always appreciated about Andrew's style. So score coming in for A-Paul, 53. That's going to put him into 14th. He knew well before the score dropped that wasn't going to be the result he was looking for today. So we'll see A-Paul moving into the big group of riders. All right, so we're going to take a look back at exactly where we stand at the event scoreboard here after the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro.
Incredible riding today. Okay, looking at the ski men, we have Max Hitzig taking another first on the 2024 Freeride World Tour calendar, with Oscar Mandan and Marcus Goguen throwing down two firecracker runs to come in second and third. Look at how tight 4th to 6 is, with Valle to Ben Richards and Carl Regner in between. Such solid riding from everyone. And rounding out the bottom, the back half of the cut here, we have a couple no scores and a couple really, I just want to say, unlucky errors from the snow condition. These riders are seriously the best of the best, and I'm looking at some names in there: Andrew, Thibaut,
Look
Max.
at these three heavy hitters right at the back of the field today, all with no scores. Palm, Bender, Annabelle Moga, all heavy hitters, all just not having their day today. So unfortunate for some, unbelievably exciting for others. The glory and heartbreak of competitive freeride. It's an emotional roller coaster, and Kicking Horse Mountain Resort once again just delivering an electric competition here. Freeride World Tour by Peak Performance, stop number 2. Here is your podium.
That 3 fine gentlemen, Max Hitzig, Oscar Mandan, and Marcus Goguen rounding out the top 3 with some incredible runs today. Seriously inspirational riding. Nothing but stoke from the 3 of them.
Yeah, and the kids at home probably just getting fired up, watching their heroes blowing it up here on the Freeride World Tour. This is what's happened now to the overall ranking. A big shakeup. No surprise to see Max Hitzig running away with it with 2 firsts on 20,000 points. Yeah. Turdell still right in the mix, and Ben Richards actually sliding even up a bit. Finn Billis down a little, and then we're seeing some guys that were on the bad side of the cut moving up. Marcus Goguen, Valley Rayner, Jackson Bathgate still holding on as we get into the second page, and this is where it's going to get interesting to see that line and where some of these riders are relative to it.
And it's so tight from 3rd to about 9th. And if just because you're on the good side of the cut doesn't mean that you're safe in Georgia. Everything can get shaken up right now.
Absolutely. So Maxime Chablot has slid down. Wei Tian Ho has now put himself right in the mix. He's just on the downside. So he's got a strong performance, and one more of those, and we're going to find him on the good side. And then a whole bunch of stars and stripes there. And we see these guys now with a couple of no scores, really in deep with what they're going to need to do in Georgia. Basically, it's going to be podium.
It's a win almost or nothing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to go down to the finish area with your winner. Once again, Max Hitzig, a commanding performance. Tell us a little bit about what it went into choosing that line compared with the snow conditions and how you did it today, Max.
I thought the conditions are not that good. I wanted to do another free or back here at the top, but I thought one trick is enough. And yeah, I'm really glad I stomped the 360 on the third cliff, and it worked out perfect, and snow was better than expected.
Well, stoked to see that. Max Hitzig, an unbelievable performance. You're now sitting way up in the standings. What goes through your mind going forward now with such a commanding lead on the tour?
Yeah, I can't believe that this tour started like this. I'm so excited, and yeah, I think I have not that much pressure for the next comp. I'm really looking forward to Georgia.
Yeah.
Never have been there, and I'm really excited to go there and compete.
And given all the snow that is falling in Georgia right now, are you looking to send it or just keep it safe and stay in that top spot, Max?
Yeah, we will see. If the conditions are good, I try to stay in the top spot and yeah, go all in. We will see.
Well, you're an inspiration and you're an absolute monster on skis, Max. Congratulations today.
Thanks, man.
Well, there you have it. Your champion at Kicking Horse, Max Hitzig, wrapping up his day with another win here on the Freeride World Tour. His trophy case is starting to bulge with so many wins on the Freeride World Tour. Incredible performance from the entire ski men's category and all categories across the board delivering today.
Absolutely. And you know, we did see a lot of tough luck taking out some huge names across every category, and also some just incredibly talented, incredible riding.
All right, well, we're Freeride fans. This is now your chance to have a say in the results of the day. The Freeride World Tour Rider of the Day voting is open. The Rider of the Day is your opportunity to have a say who you thought was the standout rider. This is all categories included, whoever you want to vote for, whoever you thought delivered the performance of the day. Snowboard, ski, whatever you thought was the action of the day. You got the QR code there, freerideworldtour.com. You can log on and vote for the Rider of the Day. Tell us who you thought was your standout performer. Well, we have had quite a show. Tom Pfeiffer, I want to give you a huge thanks for joining us. Your insights into the in-depth factors here in the Freeride World Tour, super valuable. Have you had a good time in the booth today?
I have. It was an awesome time getting to sit here and watch some world-class riding, Derek. You know, it's super inspirational. I'll be doing the Challenger Series, and maybe see you guys back next year. We'll see how it goes, but I'm shaking in my seat right now watching it. So great riding from everybody. Great day. Thanks for having me.
It's really been incredible, and I'm just so impressed with all of the riders across the board. We had tricky conditions, especially the later we got. The tracks were there. There were some bumps. There were some holes. But these riders just show us why they are who they are and what they can do. It's so inspiring.
Absolutely. And the quality is so high, and you see what gets put down and how the sport is being pushed in this direction from 3 years ago to now. So awesome day for everyone, including all the staff that made it go off today seamlessly. So
incredible show. All right, well, on behalf of everyone at the Freeride World Tour, myself, Derek Foos, Tom Pfeiffer, to all of you, thank you for tuning in and joining us here at the Kicking Horse Golden BC Pro, and we are going to see you very shortly coming up at the Georgia Pro. The first time we've been there. We'll see you in Georgia.
The last showdown before the finals. The last opportunity to make the cut. Who will master the mountain? Who will push the limits? Who will rule Georgia?